This is Jordan Grace, and you're listening to the Social Suplex Podcast Network.
BWB, this is One Nation Radio. You better get it right. Rich Latta, James Boyd came to give them life. The Blackest Wrestling Podcast has come to kick all ass and drop it 6 feet if they're kicking trash. Word, let me welcome y'all to something different. And if you dig it, man, you should let some friends listen. We be getting it in, this on the regular, dude. Ravish and flow, but this shit rude. See, James don't rap, so I had to break it down. The whole network, man, we coming for the crown. Raps in the columns, I keep them both covered. Making the beats too, so the listeners can bump it. Hit us with the rating, yeah, I'm saying it's a 5. Before you hit it, talk, bob your head side to side. It's One Nation Radio, and this is the beginning. It's Rich, and I'm here with James. It's time to listen to One Nation.
We got to unleash the power of the pyramid.
This is Mike Sempervive from WrestlingObserver.com. Check me out on Wrestling Observer Live every day. And also check out your boys, Rich and James, on One Nation Radio.
This is Kenny Omega. We're listening to One Nation Radio. Check it out, guys. These guys know what's up. Big Kenny Omega fans. That's all that counts to me. Goodbye and good night. Bang.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this week's edition of One Nation Radio. I'm James Boyd, and here with me I have Rich Latta. What's going on, man?
Not much, man. Just been chilling at the house, doing a couple beat breakdown videos, making watching some AAA Lucha Libre. Also doing these commentary videos over the Fire Pro Wrestling, which are absolutely hilarious. Y'all need to watch Abaddon versus The Fiend. It's up on my other YouTube channel. I'll get James the link. Pop it in there. We're talking about everything that is peligroso.
brutal. Yeah. So, just to give you guys a heads up, or just let you guys know, we actually have a special guest with us for this special edition of AEW Dynamite from this week. We have with us the Doc, Chad Matthews. What's going on, Chad?
Not a whole lot, gentlemen. It's a pleasure to be back on the show. I will say in advance, I don't know that I have any interest in watching Abaddon versus The Fiend. But, you know.
That's exactly what I was going to ask you. Like, is there any type of medium of entertainment where you actually want to watch The Fiend versus Abaddon, virtual or in reality? Because it ain't for me, but maybe Richard's commentary will save it.
Well, I mean, I'll happily listen to Rich's commentary about most anything, but that's going to be maybe where I draw the line in the sand. I can't think of a medium. Maybe a 30-second clip on fast forward so that it only takes me 5 seconds to get the whole thing. Not that high on Abaddon.
Speaking of watching,
so it's a whole series. It's like goofy Fire Pro matches. We're doing intergender. We're doing all these weird gimmicks facing off. We're doing big people versus small people. Everything.
Like one match, for example, from Rich told me was who was it? It was Abaddon versus Fiend is one. I suggested that he do Roddy Strong versus Frankie Kazarian in a can't go back match because they both wrestle like they can't go back to whatever their prior environment was. Like they they wrestle like the dudes like that you see in the NBA that like have those 2-way contracts, those 14-day contracts. They're just out there grinding. But yeah, let's get into it, I guess. AEW Dynamite. Winter is coming.
Mm-hmm.
Chad, what were your thoughts initially?
Going in or after the show?
Let's go both. Let's do both. Let's do going anticipation and then the where you were left after the show ended.
Huge amount of hype going into the show, primarily for the main event. I mean, that's a match that every time I would, for instance, have a Facebook chat with Rich throughout the year 2020 about what the upcoming main event of the next pay-per-view would be, inevitably Omega versus Moxley would come up again as, is it time to do that yet? Is it time to do that yet? And when we finally got to the point where it's time to do it, I mean, hype couldn't be any stronger, both of them in their own way, organically building up to this awesome point in history where AEW is ready for this rematch. So I don't know that I could say. Someone posted in the Wrestling Square Circle Facebook group a question: was this the biggest TV match in a long time? And I felt like it was. It was certainly the biggest TV match for me in a long time. at the end of the day, there's so much I want to work out about how I felt about this show. But I would say overall as a show, I thought it was obviously a very eventful episode of Dynamite. As a match that I was looking forward to for so long, I got to say I was underwhelmed by the match itself. It was still good, but you get 28 minutes in the main event with that kind of hype behind it after all this time. I mean, I definitely, when I signed up to be on this show earlier in the week before Dynamite aired, I was not expecting to feel like I'm going to be the buzzkill, and I'm going to try really hard not to be. But I wasn't overwhelmingly positive coming out of it. But that said, last couple of days, reading some of the glowing reviews of it, looking at where it can go, nothing's really going to change my viewpoint on the match, which we'll get to later. But overall, I feel very intrigued by what comes next. But I will say they've got some work to do to get me fully on board.
Yeah, me and Rich have talked off air like we always do, and I don't think either one of us think this is some super special match that we're going to go back and watch like 5 years from now or anything like that. Outside of maybe the angle at the end, but yeah, as far as the match, it's a really good match, but it is a disappointment compared to their previous match and even the match that we thought we were going to get before it turned into a lights out match last year at Full Gear 2019. So, Rich, what are your general thoughts on it? I mean, I don't know if I'm putting words to your mouth or if you've changed how you kind of feel, because it's been a lot to see like the overwhelming praise, and I'm kind of like, nah, I'm not there with you, but like I tend to have been on that camp like recently, I guess, for all wrestling. The G1 has ruined me. So, Rich, what was your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I went nuts. Obviously, Kenny Omega finally wins the AEW title. I was on All Things Elite, where I just took several victory laps. I'll try to tone it down a little today, but check that show out if you want, just ludicrous noise, essentially. But yeah, I'm not under the impression that this was any type of match of the year or anything, but as I described in a couple other places, I thought it was probably like a 4 1/4 type match, and coupled with the angle at the end, the possibility of like a partnership between two promotions, Don Callis coming back in to be associated with Kenny Omega is like incredible. It's like everything that surrounded it with the match, like I'll take that any day before the standard just great 5-star match like that could have happened or whatever, and nothing or whatever, and just a simple title change. But like with this angle and the excitement that was around it, this was a slam dunk for me. This was like, we always want them to do exciting things, and they excited the hell out of the people. Like the last, like during those 4 V triggers when the whole arena's chanting Kenny, is like they didn't even see the microphone shot. Like it was incredible. Like I wasn't thrilled with the 15 minutes like session like as in the front of the match where they were just doing the garbage brawling around the ring, and then when they got in the ring, I thought those guys held it up as we expect to. Of course, they want to do the angle, and for me, it's worth it when all the cool things come out of it, rather than just super match.
Okay, I get that. For me, I'm here with you. I think it's like a 4-star, 4 1/4 thing. I think that if I watch this, if I get a copy of this match and watch it without the commercial breaks, I watch the foreign version of it. I think the match is as much loved as like other people love it, because they come back from the last commercial break and the crowd is like so much hotter. So it makes you wonder, and I don't watch picture in picture, I just like look at my phone. So I wonder what was done that made them get to that point. And I gotta say, like, the closing stretch was fantastic until they started the fuckery. And like, I just gotta, I detest those finishes where it's like, oh, people have, killed themselves for 10, 15, 20, 25 minutes, and then some asshole gets involved in the match. Like, I fucking hate that. So, as me, like as far as the team or the Impact expansion, I don't care. I just don't. Like I often watch Dynamite and feel like so many of the people that are on the roster like have nothing to do because there's so much talent, and like now we're doing this that's gonna bring more people. Like, and it makes you wonder, like, okay, I saw Jungle Boy, like, I felt like one time this month, and, you know, there was a stretch where we didn't get much Lucha Bros. Like, Brody's been off TV forever. Archer just came back after having a hiatus. So it's like there's like a time where people get their spot, so it's like now there's even less time for these people that already seem like they're on some type of rotation. So for me, it's like I'd rather just have the guys they already have as opposed to worrying about, you know, whoever to bring, whether it's Chris Bay or Machine Guns or maybe it was the Ehi even, but whatever. As far as what they did to get to it, like, I understand it. I feel like they even told a story in the match of them fighting on the chairs, and then Omega just doesn't want to deal with that anymore. He takes it easy way out and V triggers him out the chair. So it's like, that dude ain't about trying to wrestle. Like, that's why he took the shortcut to win the match at the end, because that's where he is. Like, the heel turn is complete. We've known he's been a heel for like a month or two now, but there's no doubt no more.
Up brilliantly, like you think about like how he walked out at All Out. You think about him walking out on the Bucks at All Out, like, hey, make your decision. And then he's coming back in that weird house with a picture of Don Callis there. He's in the parking lot headed to an airplane, like with a phone call going on. Callis showing up casually to do commentary before, like, oh, okay, this is a nice little thing, you know. Oh, wink, wink, nudge. Remember when he used to call Kenny's matches? Oh no, there's fuckery afoot. Like, so, right. Like, I'm all the way with it. Like, this is
So, like, for me, compared to the standard, like, let's say Evil match, where it's like, oh, here comes the fucking Wire and Dick Togo, is like, there was more thought put behind it. So it's like, normally in a match like this, it has no like forethought of like this. There's layers to it, and you're actually going to see what uncovers on the end of it. Like, I normally would like, yeah, I'll just give it a flat 4, but like, I was at a 4 1/4, and I'm not going to just deduct it at the end because it was well done. So that's where I am on it. But like, I see people at, and you know, over the moon for the the partnership of Impact, and I'm like, I mean, it helps the women's division, but I don't really give a fuck about anything else that they have to offer out of Impact. So I don't know. Like, maybe even Young Bucks should have did this with Callis.
I would say that for me, the match part is separate from the angle that leads into what's next. It's like, for me, the first thing I had to get over was, okay, this was not the all-time classic match I was expecting it to be. I wouldn't even go 4 stars on it. I'd say it's a max 3 3/4. I think that it just didn't seem like those guys were super in sync. You know, I was thinking going into today, I was like, what match compares to this historically to me? Something I had a ton of hype for, that on the night of, it just kind of fell a little flat. Like, it had moments where you're like, okay, they're getting it going. Like, to me, that moment in this match was when they brought those chairs in the ring and they're sitting there and they're starting to slap each other, leading to Kenny doing the V trigger to Mox on the chair. I'm like, all right, here we go. These next 15 minutes are going to be freaking fantastic. The match that comes to mind to me is AJ Styles against Shinsuke Nakamura at WrestleMania 34. It's like, that match, I was thinking it's going to be one thing. It turns into something else. So the first thing I have to reconcile when trying to properly judge the match is, all right, my expectations were obviously too high because what they were going for and what I thought they were going to go for just weren't on the same page. So then you start to separate that from, all right, there's the angle and what the angle means. And to me, that's like a separate conversation. The execution of the finish, I personally did not like. I thought that was one of the other parts of the match part that I had to reconcile is, you know, name a time in pro wrestling history when someone who's not involved in the match, that you weren't expecting to be involved in the match, comes down and grabs a microphone and starts talking, and that has actually benefited a match quality situation ever in the history of professional wrestling.
Not ever.
Never. I mean, so it's like, if you're putting it down like in a WrestleMania era breakdown of match quality, it's like, all right, build 5, execution 4. down to the climax. Climax is like a 2 to me, and it's like, all right, not when Kenny gets back in the ring and starts wailing on him again, I'm back into it. But that whole thing from him jumping off the top rope down to where the heater is to doing the paradigm shift, quote unquote, because they didn't go anywhere close to the actual heater. It didn't look like to me. And then, oh my God, it's going to be over. And then here comes Callis, and then here comes the microphone, and then here comes the whole shenanigans. And I'm with you, the fuckery, as you call it, James. As once we got to that, I'm like, yeah, okay, all right. And so I personally, that's where it's like, all right, after that, you draw the line and start talking about Impact. And I don't know how we're going to, how the format's going to run today. So I want to save my thoughts on that when we get deeper into this. But that was the first thing in the days following I had to really think about, like, damn, I guess that's the shitty thing about expectations is expectations really versus reality. It turns into a very interesting self-conversation of, all right, this is what I thought versus this is what it is. And then reconciling, okay, I got to judge it based on what it is and not what I thought it would be.
I just want to know why the death match, man, why Mr. Barbed Wire, couldn't take a little microphone shot to the head. Like what? That's it? That put you away? That staggered you? Okay.
Oh wait, no, that didn't. He hit him with a one-wing angel after that, right?
Yeah, but
and a bunch of V triggers.
Yeah.
Nah, if you want to talk about the thing is like, okay, I haven't seen Kenny Omega like have such a bad botch like what they were going for into the like off the top rope leading into the those fake heaters. Like I don't. Maybe when he knocked out Evil with a V trigger at the G1, was that 2018 or 17?
17.
Yeah, that's the last time I remember having a botch. Like, wait, what? So yeah, like because you can see it. He's like he's meant to go get pushed.
He's
supposed to get pushed off. He lost his footing and he had to slide down. They audible to the power bomb thing. But yeah, like. It's just, compare that to, for example, the match with Hangman at Full Gear, and it's like, nah, these are not the same level of match. So yeah, I definitely get, and that's what you were expecting.
Absolutely.
So yeah, like I definitely get disappointment, and as a person, like that was my most anticipated match of it was empty actual match, none of this, barbed wire, dark match. It doesn't fucking count on anyone's record, and they're running through glass, or they're crawling through glass, and they're going through barbed wire webs, and so yeah. But yeah, I still think that based on like putting my expectations aside, just trying to grade it in a vacuum, I that's where I came down on it. But yeah, doors
wide open for a third match, like you just mentioned, like that don't count match, and then Kenny taking the easy way out to win here. Eventually, like someone's gonna be like, "Hey, man, like, but you ain't never beat this dude," and eventually, I think they'll get to what everyone's looking for.
Yeah, but
now, I will say one quick thing I will add is that did you guys ever play outdoor sports?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
The way you asked it, I'm thinking like, who didn't?
Well, I mean, I'm just thinking like, if you're like 7 years old and it's 40 degrees outside, baseball game might be getting canceled for my son. But for me playing soccer years ago, growing up, like if it was, I hated playing in the cold. Like I hated playing when it was that cold. I never played my best when it was that cold. And that was one thing that crossed my mind the whole night, was when they started talking about how it's like 43 degrees. Like I wouldn't want to be out there with my shirt off and, trying to have a classic wrestling match when it's 43 degrees outside. I wondered if that came into play at all with there seemed like there was something missing from their chemistry, that having watched their lights out match just not a week and a half prior, I felt like that was there then, and it wasn't there last Wednesday.
Do you feel there was even a carryover from a storytelling perspective from their first match to this one? Because I don't feel like that was there in the second match.
I don't. I really. There just seemed to be something disconnected with the two of them. Chemistry, temperature outside. just the whole focus being on the finish, which my thought was in working this all out in my head was, if the whole point of this was to feed into that finish, why not just let it be a 15-minute normal match? Like, why set the expectation of this is going to be, oh wow, they might go over I gotta like make sure I switch over, because I usually watch it a little bit on tape delay, so I don't have to see as many commercials. Like, I gotta make sure to have it on the ready to turn over to TNT Live if it goes beyond the finish, because they teased that, like they're gonna go after it goes off the air. So I mean, if you're gonna do what you did, I just think there was point blank. I mean, not to nitpick them, because for reference, I don't ever nitpick AEW. Like, AEW is the furthest thing in pro wrestling from the thing that I typically nitpick. But when expectations are that high,
right?
I just thought a little bit that some of that was a little bit tone deaf. It's like, all right, make that 15 minutes. Let's avoid that 15-minute stretch where they're just kind of going through the motions, fighting in the crowd for the sake of what I'm not exactly sure. Let's go straight into all right, just beat the crap out of each other. Let's get to that part. And then you can go into the finish. And then it's like, okay, well, I knew there were only 15 minutes left in this show, so my expectations wouldn't be the same as I look at the clock and it's 9:30 Eastern time, and then I'm like rubbing my hands together like, oh yeah.
Yeah. You know what? I've come to the conclusion, it might have been this G1 with that B block that just broke me. Where I think I've come to the conclusion where it's like, yes, if there's going to be nonsense at the end of a match, it doesn't really matter how long it goes. You're always going to be like, well, you should have did something else to get to whatever you're going to get to. It's like, either what, like, that finish is always just going to suck and make you put a damper up. It's basically like you cook a warm dish, and I said this about Jay White match before. Like, you cook a nice dish, and then he's like, oh, you like that, huh? And then you just grab a cup of water and you just pour water right over the top of it. Like, regardless of whatever happens, like, just a garbage finish that feels cheap, it doesn't make anything feel better. Like, whether it was Miz beating Daniel Bryan at SummerSlam over, with Maurice's help a couple years back, or it's, Johnny Gargano coming out and stopping Ciampa from winning the belt at Portland. All of these just feel just like, damn, bro, like, you feel like you've been fucked. That's what the fuck finish is. Like, you told us you were going to give us something. You gave us less than that after promising certain or alluding to giving us this. Like, and we feel like we were jobbed, right? Like, and that's kind of how that goes when it comes to these kinds of finishes. Like, I really, it's very rare that you can find something that makes you feel like, oh, well, that was a satisfying way to get out of, and not give me a finish at a main event. Like, that's really just hard. And honestly, I kind of feel like I'm trying to cut them slack, because I'm like, well, that is kind of the point, because Kenny,
because they never do this. They never do this. So, like, it's supposed to be more effective here.
And doing what? Getting you to tune in?
Yeah, if you're like, say you see this so much and you hand wave the shit eventually, like all these IWGP title matches, like, if this is like the one time they do that, or one of the few times that they do these type of things, I can live with it.
I'm not making a comment about the frequency of anybody doing it. I'm just saying, like, there is no one that you do that makes you're always going to feel like, they could have did it another way. Ultimately, it's just like, it is basically trying to deal with the fact that you've been fucked either way. I'm not making a statement on whether or not, like, one company is grimier than the other because they do it more or less. Like, I would suggest nobody do it. But my point is, there's no way you can really get around that. Like, if you give me a fuck finish, I'm going to roll my eyes and be like, God damn it. Every single time. It doesn't matter what company it is. I just kind of come to that conclusion. It was like, if you give me a fuck finish, there's really not much you can do. Like, the best one I've seen this year may have been the G1, the A block final with with Okada and Ospreay, where they go nuts for like a 8-10 minute sprint, and then B Priestley comes out. I'm like, what the fuck's B Priestley doing here? So that's kind of where I am on it. Like, I've seen so many of them over the last like few months where it's like, it's just an eye roller for me, regardless of whatever happens.
well, I'm excited about this shit. This shit is lit. I ain't about to let y'all bring me down.
Well, I mean,
on top, and we about to run it.
I mean, it's Kenny Omega. He's going to have great matches eventually, but this is the one I really wanted to not have this, and it happened.
Now the whole dynamic with Impact, is this an appropriate time to focus in on that part?
Let's move the Impact.
All right, because that to me now coming around, like I said this on Twitter and then I kind of felt bad about it afterwards. It's like, all right, biggest show of the year, most likely going to be the highest number of eyeballs you draw in 2020, which I think actually did prove to be pretty close to the case. I mean, 9. It's got to be somewhere. There might have been 1 or 2 AEWs that drew more viewers.
I think it was their biggest demo number for sure.
Okay, so you do that, and your end point coming into the next phase is, all right, you're going to open up the wrestling world, and the partnership with Impact comes to the fore. On Twitter, my thought was, okay, that sounds great, and I know a lot of people have echoed that sentiment. That all right, that sounds great. That they're going to open up the doors to other wrestling promotions, but it's Impact Wrestling. You know what I mean? And Impact Wrestling at first glance, it's like, okay, that's where I was at with it. But then I came back to acknowledging that actually the day before that, I signed up for a month of Impact Plus. I'd been planning to do that for a while. So I actually watch Impact semi-regularly. I always keep up with it. I want to know how their major shows went so that when I do my yearly month of Impact Plus, I can catch up on the vast majority of their big shows from the year that was. I like Impact. There's a lot of talented people in Impact. So I got a question for Rich, because I know you're super excited about this. How do you feel about this particular partnership at this particular time, given the fact that this whole show is really about this? This is a huge opportunity. This is an opportunity to say, this is what we're about. This is where we're going. You know, I think everybody kind of felt a little bit like a title change was imminent. Now Kenny Omega is the champion, and the lasting impact is we're partnering with Impact.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know where it's going yet. So, like, Kenny's going to be on the show this week until, like, I don't feel comfortable saying, like, hey, there's a full-on partnership through the whole promotions yet. But let's say that it is, right? Say they get access to some of their women. I can take that because, you know, that's they also been... Yeah, they can, you know, come in and do their thing. You got to look at, like, COVID-19. If there was a partnership that everyone wanted, it's obviously AEW and New Japan, or like Dragon Gate or DDT or something like that. But can't really do that right now, like, too easily. So you start looking around America. WWE doesn't want to partner with you for damn sure. They don't want to do anything cool like that. ROH.
Well, I think they would do it if you lose every match. Which why the fuck would you do that?
Yeah, we see what WWE's idea of partnering with promotions look like evolve. But in Impact's case, like, you look around, it's like, all right, there's a lot of history with the ROH guys in New Japan, but that for me, that doesn't really change anything. That's still, like, you know, more of the same. But Impact has a totally different look to it, as you mentioned, Chad. Like, there's a lot of people that work there that are good. They have Don Callis, who is, like, in a short time, like, kind of like he's obviously going to be on Finesser of the Year for swinging this, whatever. But the thing with him and Kenny is, like, I think the only thing that's guaranteed right now, like, that they're linked. So I'm not sure about the whole thing, but for me, Impact and possibly AEW linking up together is kind of like the move that captures the news cycle the most, because it's like everyone's thinking, like, hold on, Impact, that old Impact, but this isn't the old Impact. This is like a completely new company. Essentially, they should rename the shit. But yeah, I think, you know, for the news, they get to Big Brother, another company essentially, and it all leads back to AEW. Like, they're gonna send, you know, Kenny to this show. I'm sure that's going to help Impact out. I'll be checking it out. Absolutely. And I think it's something that we always want wrestling promotions to do. When I was a kid, I used to see the Pro Wrestling Illustrated, like see the magazines, the one that would sell like WCW versus WWF, number 1 through number 5 versus 1 through 5. You got Stone Cold versus Sting. You got Rock versus Hogan. Like, you always think about these things. And while I don't see that, Impact doesn't have like that level of star power yet, but I think like this is kind of what happens like with bigger promotions. Like, you reach your hand down to try to like certify somebody, and then you hope something cool happens. And I'm totally ready for it.
I'm interested to see what they like Deanna. Like, for me, it's just like I'm ambivalent to it. I can take it or leave it. I don't care one way or the other. So I think that I honestly think that the hardcore wrestling fan like knows the Impact hasn't been that Impact, the notorious Impact / TNA. Like, I think we all have a fondness for Slammiversary 2018. Like, that is a clear difference from that old Impact, and where we used to joke about how like they were killing off Mickie James with her having to get ran over by the fucking train tracks and other nonsense like that. But
they are shooting people on Impact, I hear, though.
Yeah. Why do you have to bring that up? I was trying to be positive, and you shot that and you just shot it. Go ahead. Go. Continue. Thank you. You killed what I was going to go off with. Thank you. I forgot they were doing a fucking whodunit. Go ahead.
I mean, James, I seem to remember one time, like, if it's, you mentioned, like, why don't they just bring a gun to the ring, like, if it's no DQ or something? So they're doing what you want, James.
But they brought a gun to the ring to shoot someone dead during a wedding. That's not the same thing. That's not the same thing as someone bringing a gun for a no DQ match. Those are slightly different things. It just I'm interested to see what they do, because one, they do, like you mentioned, they do have lots of talent. And they do have two, or at least on Tony Khan's side, a definitely good booker. And with D'Amore and Callis, they do a lot of good things. So, like, I'm interested to see, like, what comes of this, how extensive it actually is. Maybe this is really just, like, they just make Omega Goon or whatever else with just, TNA guys. Not TNA, but Impact guys. Who knows? I'm interested. I'm willing to be open-minded to what they give us, because I honestly think whatever they give us is going to be pretty good. But just the thought of, they already have lots of guys on their own roster that they're cutting their own checks to, that they've built, they built some and put roots into the ground with and planted seeds with already. They kind of have to be taken off TV more. That's the only thing that I kind of don't feel great about. But outside of that, is like, sure, why not? I'm more just ambivalent.
I'm fascinated to see how this plays out. I think Impact has had a perception problem for a long time.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, it goes back to even at a time when they were doing some really good stuff. Like, if you go back and you watch the catalog of great matches from 2010 on, I mean, even in a year like 2015, when Kurt Angle's winding down and you've starting to get guys like Drew Galloway, McIntyre into the fold. I mean, they're putting on some really good shows. Like, I watched a show last night of theirs. It was the July 1st, 2015 show. I just wrote down, after perusing some of the stuff that I wanted to keep my eye on, I was like, I should just watch that whole show. It was the night that EC3 won their world title. It's like that. They've done a really good job at times with a lot of guys. Like, you look at someone like Sami Callihan. Sami Callihan is someone who maybe doesn't have a whole lot of a reputation around anyone who doesn't follow Impact. But him against any of AEW's top stars, I think he would excel against them. I think he's a storyteller. I think he's a really engaging personality. What he's doing right now is not quite to the level of his peak in 2018 and 19. But, I mean, this is a company that's done a really good job of changing the perception of being a company that barely was getting by because they always had problems monetarily. And I think sometimes the problems they had money-wise translated into the way people perceived their quality of a show to be. And that's not the same thing. I mean, WWE makes a ton of money. Its shows suck. Or I won't go that far all the time this year because they've had a bit of a bounce back in my mind. But, I mean, suffice to say, I don't think we know what it's going to look like with two American wrestling companies actually trying to in some way partner up to create something. Like, it's one thing, we know what it looks like when a Ring of Honor gets together with a New Japan. We've seen that.
It completely bow down before them, like, and ask them what they want, like.
But how's this going to work? I mean, I think that's, and I'll say this, like, it would be disappointing to me now, having said everything I did about that match and now transitioning into more where I feel about where this is going. I would be disappointing if the whole point of this was just so that Kenny Omega could show up on Tuesday and there only be a very small, limited interaction moving forward. I agree with everything James said about the roster that AEW has. If you start diving down that rabbit hole of, well, good Lord, I mean, they've got a lot of guys they're not using right now who I'd love to see on television more. I'd love to see Brian Cage in a higher spot I'd like to see Lance Archer featured more often. I'd like to see. It's a deep roster. I mean, you can't just. So one thought I was curious about is, what if this is a vehicle to trying to create whatever Tony Khan sees for that next hour of television they're going to try to create, because he's talked about that a lot. Like, maybe that helps beef up whatever they're going to do with that. But I mean, I would be disappointed if this didn't lead to some kind of super card in the not too distant future. Like, I'd like to see that. I'd like to see it lead to somewhere where, as they said, if they want to change the world, let's start integrating some of these guys so that eventually we get some of those quote unquote dream matches. I'd like to see one guy I'd love to see mix it up with some of the AEW guys is Moose. I love Moose. I'm a Moose mark. I think that guy is a very intriguing talent. So I don't know. I would be disappointed if it just was all about, maybe next week and the following week, and then it fades into the background.
Yeah,
but you just don't know.
Yeah, it's I think it could be a place where you send some of that younger roster, like some of those people that were in that battle royal. Like, you need to send Scorpio Sky over there to get some work. You need to send over John Silver, Private Party, stuff like that. Hell, like, you see, like if Kenny Omega's going to the show right now, I think anybody's eligible to go to the show at this point. So, I think regarding that next hour of television, there's rumors about them splitting Dark into like two, or one of them's like more strict developmental version. Then there's like push people on the other side, and I know, and that in addition to the next hour. So like they're very ambitious right now, and I think they have the right to be, because I feel like they have all the momentum. They have the attention of the wrestling world right now. Like, Wrestle Kingdom coming, and it's like, okay, Wrestle Kingdom will come and go, but it's still going to be like, well, what's the bill going into Revolution look like? The Royal Rumble's on deck, but like this cycle is like a far departure from any of the other cycles that they've done. They switched the title and kept it hot in December. They're also going to have those big shows coming in January, the New Year's show. They're going to have a Beach Break show. I would anticipate whatever happens with Impact is going to be unfolding on some of those.
Yeah, one can imagine. Yeah, I because Tony's been such a good booker in this whole run of AEW's or Dynamite's existence, like, I believe they're going to do this well. I'm just, even within the politics of this brand versus this brand, somebody has to go over, someone has to lose, or whatever else, and whatever they do, and depending on who goes where and who comes back or whatever, I think I have enough. I think Tony Khan's built up enough benefit of the doubt to be like, all right, I'm willing to see what they're going to do with this. And so like that's why I'm just like, I'm interested to see what they do. But I just hope it's gonna be hard. Like, hopefully they bring some of the guys like that haven't that are kind of in rotation that I talked about earlier. Like, they get some of those runs in Impact or whatever else, and they can mix it up or whatever else. Like, I don't know what they do, but I guess we'll have to see. I don't know how soon this all comes about. I mean, I know Tuesday Kenny's doing the thing on Impact, but we don't know if we're going to have real answers.
He's going to be doing
like 2020, maybe. Who knows?
he's going to be doing an interview this week on Dynamite too. So hopefully we'll get a little something, because there's another big interview happening on Dynamite too.
Am I blanking? So, what are we talking about? Are we going to
Sting?
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. I don't. Sting's in AEW. Apparently it's a multi-year deal.
Yep.
Do we hear any word on whether or not he's going to? This involves matches.
I'm pretty sure he's going to do a match eventually. Like maybe he'll do like a 6-man match, or he'll probably be some type of regular character. He'll hit people with a bat from time to time.
Show up to hit me with a bat.
He'll do one match.
Like he'll
do a match with Cody.
He'll do a match, or he'll team with like Darby Allin and Cody or something like that. Or, Sting got to wear the tassels. You know how I feel about that. Every great wrestler has to wear the tassels and team with the Bucks. So
I have a question. If like Macho Man had tagged with the Young Bucks, like would he have had to change anything?
No.
Yeah, that's what I figured too. But yeah, back to Sting. I wasn't expecting it. It came out of the blue. Like when I saw all of the winter and all of like the snow coming, I was like, and the Sting came out, I was like, wow. And like I had the biggest smile on my face for the whole time, and then I enjoyed the interactions he had with Arn and Cody and Darby, and then like I thought to myself, well, he's not gonna fucking wrestle, is he?
Hard for the mind not to go right to that.
Yeah,
it was.
What were your thoughts on it?
Well, I mean, it was a great moment. I will give it that. Like, I mean, I trust not to get lost in all of my somewhat downside thoughts on Winter is Coming, but on the plus side, AEW has built a lot of goodwill with me, and I trust, until proven otherwise, that they're going to know what to do with Sting. I do have my reservations, but I thought at the time that he came up, that he showed up, I mean, that was a great pop. I mean, it's hard to get a great pop when it's an open air setting and like less than 1,000 people there. But that was a freaking pop. That was probably the biggest pop we've heard since the last Dynamite, I would say. It's about the pre-pandemic Dynamite. So I mean, I don't know. I thought it was a great moment, but I mean, my reservations are there. I think that it makes sense from everything I've heard previously from Cody's interviews. He wants a match with Sting. That's like his dream match. I assume it's going to happen because that's just, I don't know. I mean, I think if you look back and you think, if you are Sting, what do you want? It's kind of the whole Undertaker conundrum that was there for so long. What do you want your last impression to be? Do you want it to be that you got hurt and you had to retire? If you've got one match left in you, you create one of those gimmicky type scenarios that's overbooked like crazy. Maybe you get 3.5 to 4 stars out of it with all the shenanigans, and everyone goes home happy, and Sting gets to retire officially in a way that is more befitting of a career like his. Do I necessarily want to see him back in the ring? Not really. I can think of a whole lot more I'd rather see than a 61-year-old dude back in the ring, no matter what his name is. So I don't know. I'll trust AEW to figure it out. I'm excited to see what comes of the moment, but I can't say I'm super excited about the fact that he's going to be doing a long-term thing. He was never someone who I found to be particularly engaging as a talker, and that's what all the guys who have come in that are old-timers, like the Arn Andersons, Taz, Jake Roberts, that's what they've offered. They've offered microphone skills to guys who may or may not have elite skills. They add a little bit of historical credibility to those acts. I don't know what they do with Sting. I guess we'll see.
I think Sting hangs around like as the legend of TNT, kind of like this is his home. Like he has no legacy in WWE. We saw how they treated him. Like they brought him in just to beat him with Triple H and reenact some WCW stuff that, for Vince's ego to beat him. But I was wearing my Nitro hat as Sting came on the screen when Tony Schiavone said there are people that remember March 26, 2001, like that just, and I thought about, all the people that just fucking just fell off the planet, like myself, like after, there was no WCW or whatever. Lifelong WCW fan from the Northeast, I am. So like seeing him back on this network, hearing Schiavone, it was for me, this is one of the best moments that I've, in my fanhood, like seeing Sting come out there. And I'm not necessarily like Sting is James's guy. Like I always liked Sting. Yeah. I liked him in 1997, and I liked the Surfer Sting too, even though Sting didn't surf. That is like it just feels right. Not necessarily it being AEW, but him being back on TNT, because like Sting is the guy that's not in WWF. Yeah. Sorry, like
it's like when we watch Goldberg show up like in the last year in WWF, is like, or WWE, it's like it was cool that 2016-17 run, like he did a bunch of cool stuff, but once he started doing these sidey shows, you were like, oh yeah, he's not even really a WWE guy anyway. They're just doing this stuff just because they want to keep him from going to do Dynamite or whatever else, or AEW or whatever else. And so like, go ahead and get that money, Goldberg. But it's like Sting showing up in AEW, like it's so. It gives you a good warm wrestling feeling of nostalgia. In the same way you hear like the glass break and Austin comes out, it's just one of those, and like that's where that belongs. And but like just like when they were in Mississippi by Memphis, and they did the show for all of the Memphis wrestling. It's like it's good to see the old timers and that sort of thing, and they do a segment or an angle to get a heat off of the old timers. Like, I don't necessarily know if I want someone getting heat on Sting. You know what I'm saying? And then it's like, because it's like Sting, obviously he's a man, but it's almost like, in a way, it's like you're gonna get heat on the Undertaker. Like, isn't this a person that can like teleport and all that kind of stuff? He's almost like he's not actual mortal. So like, who's supposed to?
He's dead.
Who's supposed to? Who's supposed to? You just think of all the stuff they've done with these characters that have been so large in life. Is like, so what happens with like? It's one thing to be Ricky and Bobby. But it's nothing to be Sting or the Undertaker or some jacked up dude like Goldberg. Is like you get hit on them and it doesn't even feel right on someone like fighting their own battles. It's like, damn, Superman got hit with the kryptonite, and now Batman's supposed to, or some other superhero supposed to go save him. It don't really feel right.
That's why that man has a bat.
What I think is really intriguing about what AEW has decided to do is that the first 18 months of their existence, our conversations about AEW were rarely, wow, what are they going to do with this big, giant, unanswered question about where things are going? Like, they've told great stories. They've had great matches. They've set you up for anticipation of said great stories and great matches. They've done a great job with just classic pro wrestling booking. But now they're entering into an era in Dynamite history. And Cody referenced this in a recent interview. He said, we're going to take some chances. We're going to do some stuff that is going to challenge the way we've been doing things. And this was the first instance. This episode was the first instance of it being like, oh, wow, what are they going to do with Sting? Because it's not like he shows up and you're thinking, wow, what interesting story. Who could they attach to Sting that's going to lead to a huge match at the next pay-per-view? That's not where your mind goes with a legend like Sting, who may or may not have one more match left in him. Jake Roberts shows up after Revolution. You're like, interesting. Who are they going to attach to him? I wonder if it's Archer. It's not what you're thinking with Sting. Same thing with Impact. They've set themselves up to say, all right, you guys are going to take on a different style of booking challenge. All of us on board got to answer those questions emphatically, and you got to answer them well. Let's see what they can do.
Yeah. And, I mean, they have tried this sort of stuff before. It just, like the Tyson thing didn't work out for whatever reason, probably most likely for the best, right? Shaq is apparently, might have a match with Cody eventually. I don't know what that was. But, so, like, they have done stuff where kind of like, I wonder where this is going. Me is kind of like, I don't know where this is going. I just feel like they have built enough faith with me, good faith with me to where I can just, I'm willing to keep open mind on wherever this goes until they crash the car. So, if they even do crash car, probably not, because there's aside from like the Nightmare, what was it, Brandy and Mel
Nightmare Collective.
Except for, like that's one of the, it's very rare. You can kind of like almost like a one or maybe two, maybe you get this like two handfuls of stuff that's kind of like, this didn't work out for the best, but because that's how well the show has done, and that's how well these characters have interacted with each other over this time frame. So I'm willing to give it more rope than I would the average wrestling program.
I don't think Sting gonna be showing up and hitting Kenny with the Scorpion Death Drop on Wednesday. So to lead to a title match. So like I said, there's gonna be a lot of bad faith people that are out there that were the best thing I saw on Twitter was they had a meme of Goldberg holding the Universal title with Sting underneath, and it was like, AEW fans say like, this sucks, and then Sting is marking out. I'm like, yo, you're literally showing a meme of this man holding the championship. Like,
right,
this is not the same. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, that was inevitably going to be a comparison that was drawn when Sting showed up. I saw that in my return to Twitter. I don't know. I mean, I can see it. We'll put it that way. I mean, we're not. Don't. Yeah, absolutely. I do. I hate that whole dynamic. I didn't miss that on Twitter. Oh man, AEW did the same thing WWE does. You guys are hypocrites.
While not actually doing the same thing. Like,
it's not the same thing. Context cannot be removed from the equation.
It is people literally not trying to get the point because they have tied their identity to whatever wrestling promotion they watch, which I find to be just preposterous. But people still do it, and I see it all the time. I guess it's because I have no loyalty to any of this stuff. I just look at it like this is the dumbest thing ever. Like, okay, so you're completely ignoring the context of it to try to dunk on somebody. Well, in the meantime, letting us know that you're a buffoon. So I'm like, good luck with that. And I mean, this comes back from where it's like you criticize AEW for something, and then you criticize, and then look at WWE when there's certain things pop up, and it's like I don't really no, these aren't apples. I don't want to say apple to apple, but these are not exact same things. There are levels of nuance between some of these things, and I don't think that one old guy showing up, not beating anybody down, not beating up anybody with his bare hands, not being in a match and beating people or whatever else, not winning the championship is different. I don't think that's the same thing as Goldberg beating Kevin Owens. I just don't. Look, if he starts giving people Scorpion Death Drops, I'll come back on this show and I'll say this is fucking stupid. And do any of y'all think I wouldn't?
I'm confident that you would.
Right. Yep. So it's I just don't believe this to be the thing yet. Now, if we come back and come Double or Nothing 2021 and Sting is like the AEW title, I'm going to say the hell with this. This is stupid. He's it'll be 62.
Look, here's the end of it to me. This is the end of that argument. Here's a couple of typical quotes. If Sting had done the same thing in WWE, y'all would hate it. Another quote. If the finish to the main event of the show in AEW had taken place in WWE, y'all would have hated it. Yes, probably is the answer to both questions, but it didn't happen in WWE that night. It happened in AEW, which is a completely different ballgame. End of story.
I think that's fair, and also what I will say is we just spent the first 15 minutes of the show saying how much we did not like the finish of the main event of Winter is Coming.
Well, we did, yeah, we did.
Y'all did.
Yeah, hey man, that's why I don't really do much interaction on Twitter because I don't want to.
We were in the minority on that one.
It's nonsense. It's I guess, but it's because we just enjoy our wrestling. We don't necessarily identify with the promotions. It's like, look, man, it's a TV show. I watched TV show, either I liked it or I didn't. I don't think like them putting out a bad episode is an indictment on my personality, my character, my psyche. These other people do, and it's fucking baffling to me. It just is.
That little sound bite right there, James, was a microcosm of the world at large, politically and otherwise. That was a great quote.
Yeah, but at least when it's like the quote unquote identity politics, like that's some like life or death shit. We're talking about fake fighting.
So to get to the rest of the show, so MJF and Orange Cassidy, they won that battle royal to face off for the Dynamite Diamond ring next week. I got to this match late, so I didn't know Orange Cassidy was laying on the outside, and I thought we was about to get to this Wardlow and MJF conversation. And let me tell you, I was excited. Any thoughts on the battle royal?
I love battle royals. I'm a mark for battle royals. I think a standard battle royal like this is the way AEW needs to go. They need to drop the whole casino, 5 people at a time concept. This is good right there. That's how you do that. AEW needs to book every battle royal moving forward. Just, everybody got a chance to shine. Hangman Page looked good. He furthered the story with the Dark Order that's coming. The Dark Order looked good. Orange Cassidy looked good. MJF and Wardlow looked good. I can't even remember who else was in it, but
Sammy and Jungle Boy.
Yeah, I mean, everybody that was in it got a chance to do something and make themselves stand out. To me, that's what battle royals are all about, and I'm intrigued because MJF versus Orange Cassidy is something I have been ready and waiting to see since my friend, after All Out took place, said that's where they should go next for both of those guys. So I'm on board.
Yeah, I like the awareness that Wardlow had. Was it Wardlow? Wardlow realized like, nah, we aren't the last two. The bell hasn't rang yet. Look around the ring. Oh, this guy's on the floor. Let's go get him, beat him up, and throw him out. Like I like that because we've seen a million battle royals where someone goes outside the ring and lays out or hides underneath the ring, and then the fans are aware that person's out the ring and wasn't eliminated properly. So yeah, I like this battle royal. I'm not much of a fan of battle royals, but it was cool.
So
what, Chad? I meant to ask you this. What is your level of enthusiasm or thoughts on Wardlow as far as the potential?
Well, I want to hear if he can talk. Like, I need to hear this AEW Unrestricted podcast that they did last week with him because I don't know that I've ever heard him speak.
Okay.
If I hear him talk and he sounds like Brock Lesnar talking, then I don't know. But if he actually is can fairly eloquently put together a few sentences, then the rest has been taken care of in terms of what I've seen in ring so far. I think the guy has looked awesome.
Okay.
In his opportunities thus far. And I think, the big man being somewhat of a lost art right now and AEW having this big collection of them, that's one of the quiet stories I'm most intrigued by moving forward is which one of these big guys that just sort of sits there on the periphery ends up being the guy who breaks through and is the established main event guy, like the one who a pay-per-view cycle doesn't go by without him in a top match. I mean, I don't know that we're anywhere close to that with Wardlow, but that seems like his upside potential to me.
Yeah, I'm huge on the bandwagon for Wardlow. Like I've been planning all of these types of ways for him to get the break from MJF, similar to Batista in Triple H.
That's going to be amazing.
Yes,
yeah, absolutely, that's going to be amazing. Really I love that story.
It's going to be so great when he dumps this little fucker on his head. It's going to be so good. It's gonna be so good. Yeah, I just want to know where you stood on that, because I was like, please, Chad has to like this dude as much as we do.
Hey, for future reference, there's only like 3 people out of the 70 people on the AEW roster that I don't like. So,
oh really? Okay.
Yeah, I think their roster is great. I like everybody. It's like I sit there and watch Dynamite. I'm like, oh, I'm not skipping that match. I don't ever skip anything on Dynamite.
Yeah,
with rare exception. Yeah.
Oh God.
So like from one end to the spectrum with potential, we're gonna flip it and we're gonna talk about Chris Jericho and Frankie Kazarian real quick.
Okay.
Is Chris Jericho finished, Chad?
Well, I definitely got another vibe of that old 2016 era Jericho out there trying to be, like he's 35 again. Like, oh, whoa, my friend. Let's back it up a little bit. You look back at it, though. I thought about this after that match was over. Like, you know what? Jericho's last awesome match was against Orange Cassidy.
Yep, the first one.
Yeah.
The first one. But before that, his last awesome match was against Cody Rhodes. Because I didn't personally, I think I said this the last time I was on your show, I didn't love the Jon Moxley match. I thought it was fine. I thought it was what it needed to be. Okay. But I wasn't like, oh, wow, Chris Jericho's got a lot left in the tank. That thought fleetingly crossed my mind. Is he washed? Can he get another year out of his body? I mean, because that's a lot. I mean, that's an older guy to be asked to be there week in, week out for the whole time of Dynamite's existence and then moving forward. But I don't know, man. He can't wrestle matches like that and it be great. Like that just can't be the style that I think we're entering into that period where he needs to be saved as more of a special attraction. He doesn't need to be wrestling Frankie Kazarian on TV. I going into it, I was intrigued, but it reinforced the idea that, this guy's nailing it as a character still. But in ring, I'm starting to wonder if maybe there needs to be a little conversation with self again, like there was a couple of years ago going into the Omega match.
Yeah, it's weird that the New Japan run he had, or still ongoing, depending on the COVID situation, like, so much of it was him reinventing himself as, like, I don't necessarily say a hardcore guy, but as a brawler.
Yeah.
And doing, using various types of plunder at times or whatever else, but mostly it's brawling. And mostly his AEW matches where he's more back to, like the 2013, 2012 Jericho. And as this is going along, like that last Orange Cassidy match was kind of the last time we really have had like him have go out there and have a really good ass match, just wrestling. And I was giving him some bail on the other Orange Cassidy match, like the Mimosa match, because I'm like, that's just a liquid tables match, like whatever. Like if that stinks, then it's going to stink because that's the format of the match. It's not supposed to be good. But we keep going, and it's like one match will be good, one match will be and it's a lot of, you're seeing so much more than you're used to ever seeing from Jericho. You're kind of like, this is like, either this is the beginning of the end, or something has to change to stave it off. Yeah,
it looks like he's clearly being down cycled. Like, I'm really interested to see what's up with this Inner Circle storyline that's been going on, because quietly, while the in the ring stuff hasn't hit, the out of the ring stuff has been fantastic.
Yeah. He's still great as far as all the stuff.
Huge asset.
Outside of the bells ringing, like, he still is great.
I still think there's a match for him to have as a babyface against Kenny Omega now for the championship and to get that win back. But this Inner Circle possible
it'd be the rubber match.
Yeah. So the Inner Circle possibly breaking up, like, which it may do next week, or also MJF, him assuming leadership of the Inner Circle and Jericho getting out, that could be part of it. I'm really excited to see where that goes. And I still think I think they have used Jericho as time, his level of overness, how much he has left, and everything else. Like, it's all lined up from the beginning of the promotion. Like they used him having a career year last year, like to establish the promotion, and then as he's downslid a little bit, they've downslid him a little bit as well, and then at the same time they're setting that transition to take place, and he has a 3-year deal. So who says he this could be like the retirement tour?
Yeah, I think we're coming up on that. A little fantasy booking scenario I concocted here recently is you get the MJF turn. Not yet. I don't think it's quite time yet. Slow burn that a little bit further so that they break up leading into Revolution. Do MJF and Jericho at Revolution. Jericho officially back in more of a babyface mode. And then have him work his way up to where you're getting close to the end of last year. I don't know. Does his contract, it'd be interesting to know, and I think they could play into this perception, but if his contract ends in January 2022, because, I assume he signed it in January of 2019. At the November pay-per-view next year, you could do the Jericho versus Omega match, and you could tease that it's for that he would retire after that match. You could kind of go into it with that. That's what I would do. I would tease his retirement as a way of saying, all right, it's been a year since Omega won the title. Just get people thinking. I think that would be great, but I think he's definitely got 2 really big matches left in him on pay-per-view, those big drawing type matches, one against MJF and one against Omega. And to be honest, if he hits on those, I really don't care what else he does. As long as those stories maximize their potential and he does in ring what he needs to, doesn't have to be in a 4.5-star classic. It just needs to be what it needs to be. That's all I need from Chris Jericho. He's done so great. So
yeah.
Got a brawl though.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
And anytime they put Kenny and Jericho together, like they've set business records and done awesome business, and pop, whether it was New Japan subscriptions, pay-per-view subscriptions, they've drawn lots of feedback elsewhere on the internet. Like, it's just always gone well.
Yeah. And you just know because they have the drawback on, and like Jericho.
And then Callis being in the mix now.
Oh God, yeah, that will be a factor into it if they.
Whose side is he on?
Yeah. Oh God, whose side is he on? Like it would have to be like, well, wait a second. Didn't Paul Heyman turn on Brock Lesnar to go with Big Show, who was like a decade older?
Yes.
Never mind. I was gonna say he could do like that, but like no, that would be in reverse because like you need to go with Omega because he's the younger guy and it has less mileage, has more potential to be greater for longer as opposed to whatever that nonsense he had with Brock Lesnar and Big Show and Paul Heyman. All right,
this isn't one of those we have to have Brock Lesnar be the babyface type scenarios. Fortunately,
right. Yeah. So, Chad, I don't know if I don't know our end of the year plans yet regarding all of our stuff, but AEW this year, like, what have you thought about how they've moved throughout the pandemic and before the pandemic? Like, who are some of your standouts, and what's your overall temperature for the promotion?
Overall, it has been. As someone who has been I've been as wrapped up in COVID as anyone alive, and it has been draining as can be. AEW has been, in a way, a salvation. It has been awesome how they've handled it. It has given me a lot of joy. I love where the promotion is overall. I love where it could potentially go. I've got so much faith in their ability to keep that ball rolling. Pre-pandemic, I thought that the run of television they'd done from the start of the new year through Revolution and a little bit beyond was absolutely fantastic. To me, AEW, regardless of the pandemic, regardless of the absence of crowds, has done a tremendous job in 2020 of making me care about wrestling shows. They've done a great job of having these, I love Jeremy Donovan's phrase, of Dynamite 1.5s. Having these shows, these television shows that feel like mini pay-per-views, that feel like Clash of Champions from back in the day. It's awesome. I mean, that whole dynamic that AEW has been able to put together. There's been a lot of guys. One of the things I always loved is roster positioning. Like if you've got guys who are coming up from the bottom that you can foresee and start to look at, oh, wow, all right, 2 years from now, where could this guy be? And not feel like depressed about it, like I had become with WWE. It's like, I don't know if the guy I'm watching right now actually has any sort of long-term outlook that I can buy into and get invested. But when you talk about guys like Hangman Page, who's had such an awesome year, when you look at Orange Cassidy, who I would call the breakout star of the year in pro wrestling. I've seen others name other guys, but I mean, Orange Cassidy at the beginning of 2020, if you would have told me by the end of it that he'd be a bankable commodity for AEW, I probably would have called you a liar. I think he's done great. AEW has done a great job of making me care about guys that are down the card a little ways. John Silver is a great example of that. I mean, I didn't care a thing about John Silver 3 months ago, and then in one pay-per-view match, and like, look at that guy. That guy's great. So, you know, I mean, overall, I'd love to see them get the women's division going, but I'm not one of those people who's going to sit back and say, damn, every week.
You don't have
I wish the women's division, you know, it's like, I mean, it's not really that big of a deal to me because they've got so much else going on that's great. It's like I would love for them to figure that part out. I continue to feel like the thing they lack is a star. They need someone who they can build that division around. And right now, I said this last year when I was on your show or you were on mine before I faded to the background in the podcasting world. Like, I think that they just have a team full of 14th pick in the draft type women. I don't think they've got that home run hitting number one draft pick yet. If they can find that and bring her in, then there you go. But I mean, all the things that in terms of the television character work that I love to see, because I love that. I love a good promo. I love a good 10-minute talking segment. I grew up on WWE. That's where all of my focus went for so long. I love those talking segments. They're great. Give me more of that. But the great wrestling combined with that, the angles, the storylines they've done, the pay-per-views I've really, really enjoyed. The tag division's just amazing. So, I mean, I have an overall incredibly glowing opinion of All Elite Wrestling. It's been one of the best things about life in 2020, quite frankly. It's been awesome.
Awesome, man. The rest of the show, like, it's not really that important. I mean, they had a Britt Baker and Layla Hurst match, wasn't really good.
It started a goofy conversation in our Social Suplex thread about like whether or not Layla Hurst is good because of one match with Britt Baker, who's rusty as hell. I was just like, I don't get it. It felt like we were talking like, why are we talking about this? It is a woman that is positioned as a jobber to the stars because she's a good worker wrestling against a rusty woman that just came back from a bad day. Like, they had a bad match. The end. Roll credits.
So next week it looks like we've got Dustin Rhodes versus 10 of the Dark Order, the gentleman with the muscles. They've got FTR against the newly named Varsity Blondes, Griff Garrison and Brian Pillman Jr. Young Bucks versus Hybrid 2. We got Lance Archer and the Lucha Bros.
Yes, please.
Yes, Lance Archer and the Lucha Bros versus Eddie Kingston and Butcher and the Blade. Are you a fan of? Do you like the Butcher and the Blade, Chad?
Oh God.
They're okay. I mean, yeah.
No. Rich has an irrational love for the Butcher.
Yeah. I mean, I let's put it this way. Like, that bunkhouse match a couple of weeks ago was just a blast. You know, I enjoy the match. Didn't they have like a similar type match, a hardcore Falls Count Anywhere match with the Bucks?
Yeah.
So I mean, I think they have they've had some moments throughout 2020 where I've been like, this is a very serviceable 11th tag team to have on your roster. Then they're, you know, because if they lose all the time, I don't care. If they win all the time, I'm not going to be upset by it. I'm on the borderline of indifferent to them. But let's put it this way: if they show up on Dynamite with a tag match, I'm not just going to hit 30 seconds, 30 seconds, 30 seconds, 30 seconds to get to the next thing. So I like the bunny. I think I think that the Blade has a couple of moments where I'm like, damn, okay, these guys are good. They're okay.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Big Butch. He just looks like, you know, a old timey pro wrestler, but he's big and athletic and ugly and mean, you know, all in one. So also next week, Abaddon's in action. They've got a Carl Sheeta and an Abaddon program. Yuck, they're making Sheeta look like a scared champion that never gets anybody over ever. As Seth Rollins.
Yeah, she literally said in a promo that she is a cosplay. That Abaddon is cosplaying as a zombie, and then she heard some noises in the background and was spooked. And I was like, "Oh my god, this is your top champion. What are you doing?"
AEW, AEW has been very consciously aware of not being tone deaf about stuff that sucks. Nightmare Collective wasn't working. Plug pulled. Yeah. Abaddon, man, to me, Abaddon would be a perfect fit for the Knockouts division in Impact because they like to do weird shit.
But Rosemary
and send her with Su Yung to the Undead Realm and never let him come back.
I don't need to see that in AEW.
Let's not do that. Let's not do that to Su Yung. So we met Su Yung before. She was really nice. She's a good worker. Don't dump that upon Su Yung. What does Su Yung do to deserve that?
Maybe Su Yung can go ahead and just turn over the powers to her, and we just leave Abaddon there, and we yank Su Yung out of there. A trade, if you will.
That ain't no trade. That is a steal. That is like a super.
Pau Gasol type.
Oh God. Yeah. But you know, I just felt like I'm surprised they decided to go that route to do the Abaddon versus Sheeta thing, but
get it done quick.
Yeah, there's gonna be no one thinks for a second that like Abaddon's going to compete with Sheeta. Get her out of there, and then like get it set in motion for her versus Britt Baker.
Yeah, man. So Sting and Kenny speaking for the first time since they've both did their things. So besides that would cover AEW Dynamite. Chad, did you have how can we let folks know where to find you? I know you got the podcast back rolling again.
I missed podcasting. I didn't miss talking about wrestling every week, but I did miss podcasting. So after doing a couple of shows with you guys and doing the WrestleMania Era 2.0 podcasts over the summer, I got the itch to do a podcast that allows me to branch out, talk about a lot of stuff that I like, from basketball to wrestling to college football to movies and stuff like that. I'd like to kind of take everything Bill Simmons does on his podcast network and just be kind of a one-man variety show week to week. So we'll see what happens with it. Check it out. It's The Doc Says still. It's under the same name. It's going to be rebranded. I got a great new theme song that Rich made. It's going to be airing at a date. We'll say I'm going to genuinely hope to do every Sunday or thereabouts, but you can find it on all the major platforms. It's already available. Got the WrestleMania Era 2.0 podcast, of which Rich was a guest over the summer, that you can check out, taking the greatest wrestlers of all time conversation in a couple of new directions, since it's been about 5 years since I'd updated the last print edition of that book. I opened a new Twitter account. It's so new that I don't know what my name is. I know it's Chad McIntyre. That's my real last name, and it's got a couple of numbers behind it. So
this man, for all these years, everybody, what you're hearing, this man has been working a gimmick on all of you guys.
I have.
This man has come out here under a pseudonym and lied to and worked you all.
Indeed it was. It was kind of like my Batman. So, check it out. Check out escapetosportsentertainment.com. I'd say that blog certainly helped set the stage for me eventually re-entering the podcast world, writing about football and wrestling and life and other media. It's been fun, and it helped cultivate the eventual desire. It's always been the way it is for me. The writing always led into me wanting to talk about it. So having that balance back in just a way that I don't have to make nearly the commitment to. When you do a wrestling podcast, you guys know this. I mean, you feel like if something incredible happens on Sunday, you got to talk about it on Monday or no one's going to care by the time it comes out on Friday. So, that whole dynamic of being that engaged to that standard where I've got to live and die by what happens in the moment, I think is a little bit beyond what I feel like I can do right now. But we'll see how it plays out. Check it out. I think if you like the sound of my voice, I like to talk about all kinds of stuff. So we'll see where it goes.
Definitely, man. Thanks for coming on, man.
No, it's always a pleasure. I enjoyed it.
Definitely. And I guess to transition to this, at the end of this, we'll come back and we'll give you guys our thoughts on NXT Takeover War Games 2020. And we're back, and we are here to talk about NXT War Games. Is it 4? Do we do it by the year or do we do it by the number? Because it would be War Games 4, but this is also 2020. However you're numbering this thing, that it's War Games Takeover.
I think it's just War Games, like Regal says.
At this point now, when it's time for him to say War Games, he's like, you already know what it is, because he came out.
It's a meme,
right? Right, like he actually did a cameo as a joke. Like he's setting up like he's going to do it, and then all of a sudden he says some funny thing, and that was the end of the cameo. But on the show, one of the recent weeks, he's like, "I see 4." It was for the McAfee in an Undisputed match. He was like, "I see 4 men. I see 4 other men. You know what time of year it is." And he goes, and then they like War Games. You're like, he's already setting it up like you already know what time it is. You know I get this check every year annually. War Games. But yeah, man, I thought it was a very good show. I still I don't know how. It's a very good show. Ultimately, it means nothing because it's just they pulled a lot of this shit out of thin air, and like you see what McAfee did in this match, and you're just like, he has no business being in the ring. He just does it. But
we're gonna talk about the McAfee stuff because a lot of I think people are going way too far with this Pat McAfee stuff, and I almost feel like I got to bring people back to reality. Like I was seeing tweets like, "Have there ever been an athlete adapt to wrestling like Pat McAfee?" I'm like,
serious?
How about? I'm like, oh yeah, understand wrestling. I'm like, how about Ernie Ladd? Let's start there. Like, how about any other motherfuckers that was football players? Like, and it was like the level. And shout out to Reg. I'm not going to just rip him and not say his name, but shout out to Reg. I was kind of disappointed, like that he sent that out. I'm like, well, I feel like McAfee's easily impressing people. It's almost like there's a Shane McMahon element to it.
That's exactly what when he got sent through the table, when the table's in the middle of the ring and he had to jump way the fuck back because it was way too close. That's the first thing I thought of. This is some Shane McMahon shit. He's not doing nothing. Everybody's out here fucking killing themselves. He does one little hardcore bump and everybody fucking loves him. That's exactly what I thought. That's the first thing that came to mind. Like this is some Shane Vince McMahon shit.
Yeah, at all. So like,
I just got done watching the show like a few minutes ago.
Yeah, so I'm just letting everybody know, like we didn't plan this, like
so just for the people, because this is the second time we've recorded. Yesterday on Sunday afternoon or Sunday at like 3, we recorded the AEW part with Chad. Right now it is Monday at 10:38 p.m. and we are recording the War Games segment. I just finished War Games, didn't have time to watch yesterday. I had a lot of stuff going on, as I told Rich and Chad off air yesterday. So I got to it today, and when I turned it on at like 7-something, and I saw it said 3 hours and 3 minutes, I was like, why? Why? But yeah, it was still a very good show. It's still not. The last Takeover 31 was better. Portland was better, but we'll go through it. But yeah, I was unspoiled on all of it, so luckily I don't know how I avoided it. I know how I didn't go on Twitter, but I just managed to avoid all the stuff and also stayed away from the chats that had wrestling in it.
Yeah, I thought it was a good show overall. Yeah. I want to say I enjoyed the triple threat a lot more than I thought I would, because I thought they were running the Leon Ruff joke angle. They did a little bit, and they like carted him out and all that, but and they did like they had the millions of Ghostface killers jumping out.
7 of them.
So I was like,
one batch of 3, another batch of 3. All of just people said Priest could dive on. Then the last one is actually Awesome Theory.
Man, and then we'll go through it.
Yeah. All right. So first match, Women's War Games. Shotzi Blackheart, Ember Moon, Rhea Ripley, and Io Shirai versus Candice LeRae, Toni Storm, Dakota Kai, and Raquel Gonzalez. The heels, the baby faces have the War Games advantage, which is an historical, no, don't fucking do it.
That's the main issue with the match, James.
So, just to go back to Wednesday's NXT, Raquel and Shotzi had a big gigantic heel versus a underdog babyface match with ladders involved. Similar to last week's match between Dunn and O'Reilly, they had all the other participants on the perches, the heel perch and the babyface perch, and they were there until the match's conclusion. All of a sudden, we don't know who the fourth member of the team babyface Shotzi is. At the end of all of it, after everybody gets down from the perch and they all interfere a little bit, Io comes out, chokes out Raquel off the ladder, brings her down, hits a moonsault on everybody that's all down, every other member, and then Shotzi goes up and grabs the briefcase. And that was supposed to be Io's inclusion into War Games, even though Raquel a week ago or 2 weeks ago dragged her carcass out, so we knew it was going to be her. Now, there was a storyline beat to play on if they had gone back a few weeks when they had Io and Shotzi tag together, and Io just shows up without them dragging out Io's carcass. There's then some suspense, or better suspense than, oh, I know this is just a receipt. I know she's going to come out. When is Io going to come out? Anyway, so they had the babyface advantage. They started out with Dakota and Ember based off the match they had a few weeks ago. That was damn good. That ended up getting ruined when they interfered to have Dakota beat the returning Ember. Pretty good at the beginning. Then out comes, who's the second person in, or the first person? I can't remember. From the babyface
first
side.
person, I think, from the babyface side.
It wasn't Rhea, so it was oh my God,
Shotzi. Shotzi. Ember, then Shotzi.
It was Shotzi.
Yep.
Yeah. Then, I'm not even going through all of the rigmarole of what all happened, but basically, the order is, first it is Shotzi, then comes in, not Raquel. No, Raquel.
Shotzi's also loading in the weapons.
Yes, she has a new tank, of course, a bigger tank that shoots a Nerf gun. That's cool, I guess. I don't know, whatever. The tank looks cool, but as far as the Nerf gun, that was lame as hell. So Raquel gets in. Raquel is basically the biggest monster. They do a roar spot with two people where they're beating on her. She goes to a knee. She roars up to her feet, and the two baby faces fly off of her. Then it comes
this
Rhea.
match is completely fucking backwards.
Yes, because there's
it is completely backwards. That's the big heel, the work in this match was awesome. The physicality, the spots, everything is fine. And then you're like, this match makes no fucking sense.
Right. Right. Okay, so the match starts. Dakota gets the advantage. She fights. She shines like a babyface. Then the 201 babyface attack. Then Raquel comes in.
Bro, they're jumping her with her back turn.
Yeah. Then Rhea comes in. Rhea brings in the toolbox, a red toolbox. When I saw the red toolbox, the first thing I thought was, oh my God, is that the red toolbox from Triple H, Batista, WrestleMania 35? So
the pliers.
Yes. So instead of pliers, of course, we still know that that's Triple H's red toolbox, and we know that because there's not a pair of pliers, but there is a baby sledgehammer in the fucking toolbox. Rhea pulls out the toolbox, pulls out the baby sledgehammer. She starts whacking people with the damn thing. People sounding like as if it was like a kendo stick shot. People aren't just laid out or just put, just carcasses because they've been killed dead. Whatever. They're doing back and forth spots where, actually, by the time Rhea gets in, they cut to a shot of Raquel after Raquel has slaughtered these baby faces that were in there, and she says, I've been waiting for this. And I was like, me too. I want round 2. This is the rematch when they had that great ass match a few weeks ago. Anyway, then in comes, by that point, that would be Toni Storm. Toni Storm brings in kendo sticks. They go to work on the baby faces, 3-on-3 with 3 kendo sticks. Then in comes Io. Raquel and Toni Storm basically like, oh hell no, we're not letting Io get into the ring. So Io lets in some plunder into the ring, and then Raquel closes the door on her multiple different times, uses a belt to close it off. Toni also helps. So they lock off. So Io's trying to find to get a way in, so she decides, well, fuck it, I'll just climb. I can just go over the top, dumbasses. So as she goes to climb, Raquel power bombs one of the Geeks baby faces into, I'm pretty sure it was
the structure,
Shotzi, into the cage, which then sends Io flying back down. Then I think there's also another point. There's another point where Io goes to climb back in. Then all of a sudden, out comes Indy Hartwell, who has a bedazzled neck brace. She lays her out, grabs a chain, locks the cage. Io can't get in. Io later, after they beat up the babyfaces some more, Io climbs in with a trash can. I don't know how she climbed with the trash can, but it was off camera. She's on top of the thing while people are fighting underneath. She puts in what is going to be
a gift
a year from now.
When
she ends up on the main roster, and that's going to be a meme what's going to come back, where all of a sudden she puts a trash can on top of her head, and then she jumps off. If she hadn't gotten caught, she would have been fucking concussed. She wouldn't have known when she would hit the ground. She by the grace of God, Raquel Gonzalez grabbed this woman or caught her. And if this had been happened to, let's say, McAfee in the main event, she would have just been out cold. So
look, that just tells me they got a lot more respect for Io than they do for McAfee.
Well, McAfee's also like bigger than everybody else in that match.
True.
Yeah, Io's actually the smallest in women's war games, where you have, whereas you have McAfee, the fucking punter, is the biggest wrestler. Well, maybe he's the same size as Oni Lorcan, but that's it.
Oni, yeah,
that's it. So then in comes Candice. I don't know what Candice did. I forgot when she got in, but basically everybody gets in. Then you actually have the match. There's just a million things. The thing that I remember the most is they get Io. Dakota gets Io inside of the same a different trash can, I think, possibly, or maybe the same trash can. Has her in the middle of the ring. She does a double foot stomp while Io, you can see from the camera angle, has her arms over her face, and she double foot stomps Io where her like midsection would be, and then like she's kind of trapped because the lid is closed around her, so she doesn't know how to pin her. So they spend a while trying to pull her out to pin her. It's a near fall. What other stuff do you remember in this match? There's so much crazy shit that happened in this
lots
match.
of shit. When Shotzi jumped off that ladder and jumped on Candice, like that apparently was a spot where Candice, like, they said she had, like, broke her arm. So that's not good. Yeah. I immediately yelled because I had heard about the injury, and I was like, well, let me see if I can like spot it. And I saw that and knew it immediately. I just yelled "stupid" at the television.
I did not know that she broke her arm or injured her arm until just now, until you just told me. I watched it. Like, first off, because you know how tall Candice is. She's like 5'0" or 5'1". They set up that ladder and so they put a 6-foot ladder in here. okay, I don't know why they put a 6-foot ladder here, but they put a 6-foot ladder in here. And Shotzi goes up, jumps off, and hits her cannonball thing, right? Even though, like, okay, so they throw Io or Candice off. Candice falls down on the 2 ladders. For some strange reason, Candice, she picks up one of the ladders underneath her and puts it on top of her. I guess the logic is or by the time you jump off, you think you're going to get a pinfall, you're actually hurting yourself, or I'm willing to hurt myself as long as it hurts you so that you can't get the pinfall. Whatever, I think it's dumb. And then to find out that she hurt her arm in some serious way, that's even double dumb. But that's what happened.
The other part, one other part, like Ember Moon did the Eclipse. I believe it was on Dakota Kai onto the chair. Like that was like the super spot. That should have been the finish. Like
it should have. I thought it was the finish.
Yeah, but the heels, the valiant heels, with the disadvantage, beat the babyface's asses clean and beat them at the end.
Yeah.
Like
Raquel Gonzalez. I think Io is setting up for another moonsault. I think it was her second or third moonsault of the night. Raquel grabs her. There's been a ladder that was made into a bridge between both rings underneath the bottom rope that are propped up on 2 ladders. Raquel grabs Io while Raquel is in between both rings, up, standing between both corners, like I think up on like the second rope, and gives her one-arm choke powerbomb thing through that ladder bridge, crashes it, and then pins her. And Rich, I've been saying since like the day Raquel got with Dakota, what?
Oh, we knew where this was headed.
Raquel is the actual person they want to push. Do not be fooled by this Dakota Kai heel turn or these title matches that Dakota Kai gets. She is she is there with Raquel. Raquel is winning all these matches for her. It's an illusion. Do not fall for it. And sure enough, now they have the person they want to be or be next, which, you know, she's vastly improved. She's probably one of the most improved wrestlers of the year, but we saw this. We peeped this since February.
Yeah. And looking at it, it makes sense because it sets up a title match. No problem with that at all. I'm just so... I just don't understand how Triple H is so bad at this. Like, the psychology of this match is just like... It's completely backwards. Like, if I showed this to someone that, like, had no idea what was going on, they'd be like, oh, so the good guys won.
Check this out. So, think of it like this, right? Last Women's War Games, Rhea pinned Shayna, right?
Yeah.
After the babyface had a disadvantage. It's almost as if Triple H decided to do the exact same thing, except with Raquel in the Rhea position. Except, it's the Bizarro version that's supposed to be where the heels have the disadvantage. Like, this is perfect booking for Bizarro World.
Right. For Outworld, you know. Triple H will shout Khan ass. Like, man, booking for Outworld.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, this makes me think a lot of the Hell in a Cell match between Sasha and Bayley, where it's like, the action, the violence, the escalation of it is in the moves and all that. Great. The psychology, lacking. So I'm gonna call it a great match, but I don't know how much people like it or whatever else. But I'm not. Y'all did this wrong. Y'all did this in an off way. But yeah. So next match after that, if I remember correctly, it is the
tough white man match.
Yes, the tough white man match. Now,
why?
Go ahead.
I'm about to lose it. Why are we giving Tommaso Ciampa wins still in 2020?
I thought the same thing.
Why? Like, for what? He's done in this town. He got destroyed by Cross. Like, he's hanging around as an albatross because he threatened to retire instead of go to the main roster. Put some new people over. Timothy Thatcher, ever since he got Riddle out of NXT, this man is a high-class jobber. Like, He loses all the time. Like, every week I have to hear about how awesome Thatcher Stash Can Wrestling is. That man gets to the pay-per-view and he gets his ass stretched. Like, like what the fuck are they doing? Like this guy should have won. Like, this guy should be waiting in the wings for somebody, but apparently not, because like Finn Balor's jaw still broke, but I think he's coming back soon. Who knows what he's doing? But
he's coming back soon. But guess
dude, like.
Yeah, he's coming back soon, but guess who else is coming back?
Karrion Kross.
Right, which is like, okay, so you're going to do Karrion Kross versus Finn Balor, whatever, I don't care. And then it's like, all right, so...
Maybe I shouldn't be this mad because, like, Thatcher, like, gets destroyed, like, every time in ratings, but... I mean, just like, if you see that guy, like, why can't you fucking do anything with him?
We're not going to do this, because if he gets destroyed in ratings, therefore he shouldn't be on TV, then... Like, at least he's fucking good as hell, right? The person that you need to get off to fucking TV on NXT right now is Loomis. But they wouldn't dare take Derek Loomis off fucking TV. Because apparently he's the actual babyface they want to push. Why? It fucking mystifies me. But Loomis, I'm sorry, but...
he got the body.
But Thatcher comes out there, he's in great shape, he's ugly, he's tough as hell, he can cut a promo, he has a character, he wrestles different from everybody else on the roster. Nah, can't do nothing with that.
We got to lay him down for Tommaso fucking Ciampa, like who's in like year 6 in NXT, like
year 4,
year 5. My fault.
Yeah, I think it's year 5. Yeah, it made no sense. And also another part that makes it also infuriating is why the fuck. This is like the we're going to just run it back over and over and over again, like. The next 3 matches, right? Ciampa wins, Gargano wins, Undisputed Era wins.
Yup. You know what this felt like, James? You remember those random WrestleManias where we would be like, oh wow, Randy Orton won, John Cena won, Triple H won, and The Undertaker won. What the fuck are they doing? Like, that's what this was like.
This was crazy. Like, it made no sense that Thatcher... Because I think this is either Thatcher's first or second takeover.
Nah, it's at least the second. I know Balor flattened some skin. Finn Balor.
Yeah,
Balor.
That's right. So this is like his second. This is like his first or second. So it's the second. So like, why is he losing? Like, it's cool that he's on Takeover, but like, if he's gonna be on Takeover, like, why is he in here with somebody that he can beat to elevate himself? Because like, he's good enough to be at least in the North American title picture. Right, like if you want to say he's his net ratings loser or whatever else every time he comes out, cool. What the fuck has Leon Ruff done? but they made him the fucking North American champion out of nowhere, right?
Well,
it's just goofy.
I'll tell you why they did that when we get to the match.
So they didn't have to beat Damian Priest. I know that, but it's still fucking stupid. So anyway. They start wrestling. They're on the ground. They're trading through submissions. It's going great. And then all of a sudden, they have to do the melodramatic Ciampa's neck, like as if Ciampa has been fucking wrestling for a full year since, or close to a full year since that whole neck thing, right?
I don't have a problem with that. I thought I actually bought that. Like
I rolled my eyes. I rolled my eyes like whatever.
No Simpy.
Yeah, no Simpy. Whatever. It's like whatever. Because it's like we talk about this all the time. Like. Yeah, Ciampa is a babyface while cutting these patronizing promos, and like when he returned after losing the Cross and losing, like he came back and attacked Jake Atlas, and then like he started cutting these promos and he attacked Velveteen Dream, and now he's here with Thatcher. Like I don't have that babyface sympathy of his neck. It's like he's been back, he lost, and he's. A babyface again is kind of weird. It's not a perfect fit. So, anyway, they start working around Thatcher's neck, and then all of a sudden, Ciampa fires up, and he ends up catching Thatcher against the ropes on a knee, and he hits him with one running knee, and his fucking ear just blows up, just bursts. And I was like, yikes. Hits with a second one, kicks out of that, they wrestle around a little bit. This mostly stayed in the ring. And then at the end of it, he ends up in the ropes from the apron. And Ciampa has some... I can't remember what the hold was, but like you're in some hold, ref is counting to 5, and all of a sudden Ciampa just snaps off and just hits him with his gross looking DDT through the ropes. It was awesome and pinned him for 3. And I was like, cool finish. He shouldn't have won though.
Yeah.
It also leaves you like, okay, so where's this going?
Gargano versus Ciampa, North American title.
I'll be damned. So.
We gonna get this right. We deserve a chance to make it right.
But either way, it was a good ass, fun ass match. It had a moment where I just wasn't into it, but like the beginning and the end were both excellent wrestling, all throughout of it. Next match, North American title match. I'm sorry, no, it's a fucking strap match. It's
the strap match.
Dexter Lewis and Cameron Grimes.
Actually wasn't that bad.
I fucking hated this.
I thought that I didn't think it was that bad. I actually liked this more than the Ciampa and Thatcher match. I thought the finish was a nice like setup, how he hog tied him and popped his face off the steel. They just did like a brawl, and it wasn't like they did anything goofy for me. It was just like I actually thought it was all right, but I still don't want to watch Dexter Loomis. I'm sorry. Like it was like, yo, wow, this wasn't a disaster. Cool, let's move on. That's where I'm at.
I think that's where it is. Expectations on it. People think it's just going to be like one of the worst matches of the year, and it turned out to be an average match. Man. Like, just boring. It's sin. They're brawling outside. There's 2 straps. They're fake hitting each other with the strap by like putting extra slack into the ring, extra length into the rope or into the strap, and they're strapping the floor instead of strapping each other. And it's fucking obvious. We know what the sound of flesh when it hits the flesh as opposed to hitting the mat. Whatever. Fuck off. Like it. Like the storytelling is, well, they did a fucking blindfold match, so there's a second strap. He straps with the second strap a couple times, then he uses the bag that the second strap was in to blindfold Loomis, continue on this stupid fucking feud. I hated this with a passion. Loomis won with a front face show. Get the fuck off my screen. Next match, North American title match, triple threat, champion Leon Ruff versus Johnny Gargano versus Damian Priest. What do you think of this match, Rich?
I thought this was very good.
Same here.
I'd probably go 4 1/4 on this. And I liked all the offense Leon Ruff had. I liked he took a lot of big bumps like he does, and he did a lot of electrifying stuff that, you know, those that seen him in Evolve know he was capable of. I thought Priest was awesome in this, and Gargano was just like kind of the glue that held them. He was like directing traffic and all that. They did some like they got Leon Ruff like carried off and stretchered at one moment.
he got his Lesnar spot. They treat him like his Lesnar.
Yeah.
Not really.
Runs back out. Yeah, runs back out. And then like the fucking ghost face pop up, and I'm like, it's fucking December, fuck off. But it's, you know, it's whatever. I thought the action in here was really good. It was athletic, and it makes you wonder, all right, so they got Priest out of this North American stuff, but maybe this will continue, maybe not. But it feels like Priest is due for like an elevation. Yeah.
Right, like he's like the only real like baby face that they've done any elevation with since Keith Lee. Like they so it really started with that match with Finn Balor. You know, it's a theme, like Balor beats all these people, all these dudes that should be next. So it really started.
That was going back to win.
And it goes back to when he beat Riddle, when Riddle was replaced for Gargano at War Games 2019.
Yep.
Yeah. which then, like, you know, we didn't know now. Like, actually, why not? Finn Balor should have fucking beat Riddle. Like, beat him and take him out the sport. Bring his leg in.
Matt Riddle stole from me, James.
Right.
Matt Riddle stole from me.
He stole from us.
And what I mean, like, I was due to get, like, I can't even get upset about how much they fucked them up. And I was looking forward to that. The people were looking forward to that. I was going to tear it down one by one. But now it's just like, oh, I mean, I can't really, you know, whatever.
Like,
you know?
Riddle, until he got moved up to the main roster, was like the easy front runner for WWE Wrestler of the Year. And then he got brought to the main roster. He had like a couple good matches, a couple really good matches, but they immediately like did nothing with him when they brought him up. And then the pandemic happened, and then people started tweeting around, and then we found out he's a whole-on rapist. And they were like, oh yeah, well, never mind. Like, never mind. Fuck him. Fuck him.
I ain't got nothing for you.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, I don't care. I don't care how they push you. You shouldn't be on fucking TV. But yeah, so.
Stole from me.
Right. Stole from us. Stole from the world. Stole from her.
Yeah.
So then, this whole match is based around Damian Priest is a condescending babyface, but he believes he's doing the right thing. He believes, just like us, that like Leon Ruff is a fucking joke. He doesn't believe he doesn't believe in this dude he just met. Against this asshole Johnny Gargano. He knows Johnny will fucking kill him. And the whole match is based around Johnny trying to get a hold of Leon Ruff, Priest trying to stop it, and because he really wants to beat up Gargano after what they've been through. And Leon Ruff also wants his licks in it, but he's like an annoying ass, like, bro, stop. It's similar to the Harlem Nights scene with Leon Ruff has that little gun, has a little gun, and Damian Priest has
I watched Harlem Nights last week.
Wow. Yeah, he's like, stop with the little shit, you ain't doing nothing. And Leon Ruff, like, it's not suffering disrespect from Damian Priest.
I was just gonna say disrespect would not be tolerated.
Yeah. So he's like, there's multiple times where he keeps like trying to fight him, and Priest is like, bruh, stop or I'ma hurt you. Stop or I'ma hurt you. He's like, you know what, enough. I'm about to powerbomb this nigga to hell. So, well, he didn't say that, but that's is like the whole feeling is
hopefully not.
Hey. That man is a New York Puerto Rican. I'm sure Damian Priest has dropped a few N-words before. Not making no judgment on whether he should or should not, but I'm sure he has. Yeah. So anyway, this whole match is going good. There's a great kick-outs, great spots. There's a bunch of cool stuff in it. Then there's then the Ghostface show up, and they did give you a precursor letting you know that, like, there were more Ghostface. It's just the fact that there turned out to be a group of 3. Priest gets rid of them. There's a set, and pushes them all to the floor. Then there's a second group of 3. He pushes those guys to the floor. Priest dives on the second batch of Ghostface. Then he gets back in the ring and dives on to the floor on the first batch of them. Gets into the ring. He's doing something back and forth with Johnny. He's getting up on the apron. Then a 7th fucking Ghostface comes out with a lead pipe, which is and bashes him across the back, giving Gargano the opportunity to be in 1-on-1 against Ruff, and he finishes Ruff off and pins him. He's a NXT North American champion for the 3rd time. There were cool spots where, like, for example, in the match where in the double rings. In the ring they weren't using, Johnny used the ropes and tied Priest up into the ropes between both arms in a similar Shawn Michaels, Razor Ramon WrestleMania 10 ladder match rope holding spot. And he slapped Ruff in the Gargano escape while in facing towards Priest, where Priest has to watch, this dude that he's like been, playing emotions with to try to mess with Johnny. Like, he's torturing him in front of this person he likes, which was cool. But yeah, I don't know. I don't have a rating for it. It's somewhere up. It's like 3 3/4, maybe more. I don't know. But I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. So Leon Ruff lose the North American title Wonder what's going to happen to him. Feels like he's going to, suffer from the Craig Mack syndrome here. You won't be around next year, but you never know. So, will Johnny Gargano defend the championship once at least?
Who cares?
This time.
Who cares?
That was the point of this story.
Who cares? Like, this whole thing was to steal a slot for Johnny Gargano and Damian Priest without beating either one of them. That's exactly what this was. Am I wrong?
Man.
Am I wrong? It was like, we want them in another match. We don't want to move them on to something else because we have the men's War Games being Undisputed versus McAfee Goon. Well, we don't want a rematch.
Now, do you have any words for anybody that believed this Leon Ruff thing was real?
Did people do that? I don't know. I never heard anyone believing that.
I'm just...
You're just assuming there's always someone that believes anything?
Yes.
I mean, he's a really good wrestler. So it's like, if they actually do something with him, it depends on what it is. Like, but you know what it's going to be? It's going to be some mid-card slot. Like, he's never going to be in a title match. Like, he'll probably never be on a takeover again.
Yeah.
Not to say that his talent doesn't mean he's not good enough to be on takeover. He clearly showed that he's good enough to be on a takeover, but I don't think that's going to happen for him ever again.
Bro, they introduced Johnny Gargano at 199 pounds.
Yes!
And Leon Ruff at 157.
Yes!
I'm like, all right, hold on.
Was it 157 or 150? I thought it was 150 flat.
157.
Okay. That's even crazier.
I can see that for Leon Ruff, right?
I can't.
157, he can pull that.
Hell no. Johnny's not... I don't think Johnny Gargano's 157.
Because Johnny's he's not in his peak condition right now. So I could see him in the 170s maybe right now.
No, legit weight or build weight?
Legit weight.
Nah. I think Johnny's a welterweight. Johnny's in that 147 to even let's say we'll even go up to the super heavyweight of 155. He's in that range. Him being 190 is absurd. And when you see him next to Leon Ruff, you're like, nah, Leon Ruff's 100. He's the same size as Darby. He's 120 pounds soaking wet.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, you want some more, Cap? Check it. Look up. I saw this on Twitter.
Adam Cole height?
Nah. Rhea Ripley height, and then Charlotte Flair height.
What did they
Somebody's
say?
lying.
What did they? You tell me what the heights, build heights are for both of them.
So Charlotte is billed at 5'10",
okay.
Right? Rhea Ripley is billed at 5'7".
Rhea Ripley's not 5'7".
Right, and then Raquel is billed at 6 foot.
Nah, that's nah. I've never heard of someone in wrestling being billed as shorter than they actually are. That's some Kevin Durant, Kevin Garnett shit.
Kevin Garnett, yeah.
Yeah, Rhea's 5'9" or 5'10".
Gotta be.
Yeah. I mean, whatever. It's nonsense. That's nonsense. Yeah, so then after that is the main event, right?
Yeah, main event.
Yeah. Undisputed Era, Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, Roger Strong, Bobby Fish versus McAfee Goon, Team McAfee, Pat McAfee, Pete Dunne, a fucking murderer, a destroyer of worlds, one of the best wrestlers in the world, Oney Lorcan, and Danny Burch.
In amazing physical condition now, is Pete Dunne.
This is your first time seeing him?
Yeah.
Since, yeah.
In the gear.
Ain't it jarring?
Yeah.
You're looking like, this... He's in the best shape of his life, but you're also like, is he sick? At the same time, he's lost way too much weight in the face, and everything is it almost looks like he hasn't bought clothes to match the fact that he's dropped the size.
Yeah.
It's like everything is the same except he's skinny. It's almost like if it's like a comic book character that you're used to, and then like it's a different version of the comic book edition. It's a different line, so it's a different like stylist and different artists and different. And so it's like the design of the character is different, but all the stuff is still the same. It's like, that's Pete Dunne, but that's not the Pete Dunne I'm used to seeing. It's almost like, you know, like, oh, Spider-Man, like this, the big-eyed Tom McFarlane Spider-Man is like, nah, bro, that's not. Who's this? What's this Spider-Man with the little eyes? This is different. This is different.
It's like Doug on Nickelodeon and then Doug on like ABC in the Saturday morning.
Yes.
Like it's a little bit different.
Yes. Match starts out with O'Reilly and Dunn to play off of their awesome ladder match from 2 weeks ago. And they going in there and they just having kick-ass wrestling, trading in and out of submissions. Dunn doing his thing, getting the arm, getting the hand. O'Reilly doing his thing, trying to slap on heel hooks, trying to tear ACLs. And it's awesome. And I think to myself, oh yeah, they're not chancing. Like they're working through these submissions, but like, it don't matter. Because there's no fall that can be counted until all 8 people are in. So Pete Dunne can rip Kyle O'Reilly's arm out of his socket and swing it around like a helicopter, like Petey Pablo, and the match still fucking continue. Yes. So it's like, this is why I always say to you, like, if there was one thing I would do to get for the revamp War Games is I would make it to where fall can count at any time. It makes no sense that you have to go through all this shit and you know that like nothing can possibly happen until the 8th person or the 10th person or whatever even number gets in. You're just watching people just beat each other and you're just sitting around. Like it doesn't really matter. But anyway, they're having a great match. Then in comes Oni.
The heel.
Yes.
They do the match right.
Right. Correct. Like, if you go minute per minute, like the first, however long Women's War Games went, and then however long the Men's War Games went, like, so let's say, I think you told me the Women's War Games was 40 or 35 minutes?
35, and then the men's went 45.
Right. If you go with the first 35 minutes of Men's War Games versus the entire Women's War Games match, it's probably unfair because there's a conclusion. But if you just swap it and you make it to where like in both matches it's done right, where the heel has the advantage, the heel team has the advantage, Women's War Game is real fucking close. But anyway,
I thought the men's match was way better.
I thought some of the kickouts were just masturbatory.
I thought it was Fire to Women's season.
Huh?
You know, I thought it was Fire to Women's season.
Oh yeah.
You know, switch this up. You know.
So but, I just thought that the shit was just like okay, because like I'm thinking of the match like 2 submission specials, trading submissions, match getting in. Okay, so in comes Oni and O'Reilly start going at it, knees and chops. They wear the dog shit out of O'Reilly. In comes Bobby Fish. I was like, I wish it was Roddy, but he comes in, he evens it up. Then out comes Birch. Birch brings in Plunder. He brings in a bag that when I saw it, I was like, is he bringing in
somebody said Danny Burch run like he got heels on.
Oh man, I have to watch that back again. But he brings in an orange bag and when I looked, I was like, is this man a billiards player? And this man has brought his own custom pool.
When I saw when he pulled out of them fucking bags, I was like, what? Like,
you didn't know what that was? You didn't know where?
At first, I was like, huh? This man got a paddle? Like, what the fuck? Yeah, and then it was like, yeah, it's a cricket bat. I'm like, oh, like I was damn near threatening to Ricky and Clive, like, hey man, y'all, either one of y'all ever played cricket? Like, how's this like go? Like, what's the deal with this thing? Does this thing actually hurt?
Oh yeah. Have you ever seen like any clips of cricket?
The only cricket I've ever seen in my life is when we landed and we went to New York, and then them brothers was out there playing cricket, and I was like, I didn't know we did this, you know, and not only we, meaning us, but in America, you know, we did this. So we landed in New York, We got to our crib in Queens, and we were walking around. There's a big park, and these brothers is out here playing cricket.
Yeah.
And I'm like, huh?
Yeah.
Who knew?
Yeah. So, but anyway, he pulled out the cricket bat, and my first thought was like, that's awesome. Obviously, you know, there's so many British people in this match. And then, or really two people. But anyway.
More than one is too many,
right.
You know?
Wow. Here you go. I think I got mixed up because you remember Rich Holland's also a part of McAfee Goon in some capacity. He's on the payroll with Mercedes or whatever else. Anyway, so he pulls out the paddle from the cricket paddle, and also my first thought was like, this is cool, but it's been much better for like 2025 when Jeet is in War Games. So,
bro. My dog G ain't took a bump all year, I bet.
Probably has had an opportunity. But he's ready. He's ready for opportunity. You know, they talk about big opportunities when they need to start. They need to start up NXT. So
you're ready.
They go to town on O'Reilly. They do a spot where Dunn basically does like a Fujiwara armbar, except it's not with his body as the lever. Or the point to pull back the arm is actually the cricket paddle. Then we get Roddy. Roddy goes wild. Olympic slams. There's running high knees. Then out comes McAfee, and McAfee spends his 3 minutes by going to the floor.
All the gimmicks.
Pulls out some gimmicks. Pulls out one table. Undisputed Era logo has O'Reilly's name on it. Pulls out another table. Undisputed Era has Fish's name on it. Pulls out a third table. Has Undisputed Era on it. Has Roddy's name on it. Then has a fourth one has Cole's name on it. And that was his 3 minutes. Then Cole gets in. You have to tell me what happened when Cole got in. I'm blanking right now.
Cole got in and they were blocking him off, so he had to kind of grab a fire extinguisher to get his way in.
Yes, that's right. He got fire extinguisher.
Made a comeback.
So that has to be at least like the 10th time that WWE has used a fire extinguisher in some non-traditional wrestling match.
I just want to know, every person was like alternating, taking turns grabbing weapons. It's like, how did nobody see the other weapons that I don't know. I'm just thinking about this too hard, but
no, you're not. No, you're not. They clearly see a fire extinguisher there. What do you think is going to happen? A fire extinguisher is going to be used in not Hell in a Cell, but it's a cage match or some plunder match. It's been done a million times in any WWE match I've seen this year. There was a street fight between Candice and Mia Yim, right? That had one. The Hell in a Cell match with Sasha and Bayley had a fire extinguisher spot. I'm pretty sure there was another. I'm pretty sure the cage match that had Rhea and Mercedes Martinez may have had one. I feel like I've seen a bunch of fire extinguishers. Was there a fire extinguisher in one of the Hell in a Cell matches besides the Sasha one? Because I know for a fact that was used. Was it used twice?
They did 3 Hell in a Cell matches, right?
Right.
I think it was just a Sasha.
McIntyre and Orton, Roman and Jay, Sasha Bayley.
Bro, that's how I don't even remember, bro.
Okay, I'm going to go through this. I feel because I made this point on Imp's NXT show, talking about they keep using fire extinguishers in their matches. But anyway, so he clears them out. They get in there and they go through tables. They're an inch away from them, or basically they screwed up Oney Lorcan's face again. But this time, they almost fucking blinded him and ruined and got his eye ruined. Do you see the gash over his eye, over his top eyelid? Another inch, that would have got his eyeball. He'd been done. Yeah, so he's real lucky. I don't know why they decided to do that spot. That was a dumb spot. Like, it's interesting how they use chairs now that, like, you're not supposed to just lean back and just whack somebody across the head with a chair, but, like, you can throw a chair at someone's face, that's fine. You can put someone's head against the chair and then kick the chair. You can, and apparently you can also do a knee drop onto someone's face that's completely blind, doesn't know what is coming, right into their face too. And I'm not talking about NXT, I'm talking about all wrestling, because, like, I've seen John Moxley / Dean Ambrose whip chairs into people's faces for, like, 5 years now. 6 years. 7 years, actually. 8 years, actually. So, yeah, they did a bunch of crazy shit. Like, there's a lot of stuff, a lot of great near falls at the end. Some of them were like, there was, what spot was it? Oh, yeah. Pete Dunne got brain bustered on the metal plate between both rings, and he kicked out at 2. That was Gargano. That was Garganoism. That was Garganoism. Am I wrong? When he did that, I was like, what? Like, look, Johnny Gargano caught a jumping Canadian Destroyer, Adam Cole's Panama Sunrise, onto the floor, and then got dragged into the ring, and Johnny kicked out. Pete Dunne got a brain buster onto metal and immediately pinned, and he kicked out with nobody making a save. He kicked out on his own. That is Gargano shit. So Gargano had that big of a difference.
Adam Cole hitting the Panama Sunrise and McAfee kicking out.
Yes.
Which apparently upset some folks. Then I think the deal, like, they don't have Cole pin McAfee like you want. So it's like, it's right, bro, it has to continue, doesn't it? Like, it's like, because I'm like, man, he didn't even get to do the fucking last shot to him. It was like they rolled him out the way and then, like, shunted in O'Reilly and I don't know who it was, and Oni
Lorcan. Yeah,
to Oni Lorcan to do the fall, and I was kind of like let down by that, because I was like, I wanted to see McAfee lose, but I guess that's the point.
Yeah, I mean, they set throughout this match, the beats were McAfee and Cole, O'Reilly and Dunn, Birch and Fish, and Roddy and Oni. And if you don't want to get that deep into it, then really it was like Roddy and Fish versus Oni and Lorcan. So, like, I get why they did O'Reilly getting the win, because they, you know, after Kyle O'Reilly on TakeOver loses to Finn Balor, they want to push him. You notice the theme? Balor beats the guy beats the people they actually are trying to push along the way, like, after. It's fucking wild. But, like, they're trying to turn him into some mid-carder babyface as a solo act, away from, like, being in that tag team with Fish that he's been in for forever. Or also with Strong, and it's more like Strong's term 2019, 2020, 21 is supposed to be O'Reilly's turn to be the solo spot. So
when is Bobby Fish's turn?
Never.
Just checking.
Ain't nobody trying to hear no Ringo Starr solo album. Anyway, so yeah, like, good ass match. People are gonna have various opinions about it, but, like, I don't know how you can come away saying that match wasn't great. I think I like the match that they had with Imperium at Worlds Collide in January better. But this is still another great match, and, like, they're still a great faction. Pete Dunne is a fucking wrestling god. Like, we've always recognized him to be for the last, like, 4 years. Oni's great. Like, and, you know, you watch that match and you start counting the stuff that McAfee did, and you're just like, he ain't do shit.
Like, y'all gotta stop this. I gotta let y'all know, y'all have to stop with this Pat McAfee cap.
He's a great promo. He's a great promo.
Like,
but leave it at that. Don't put too much on it.
Like, bro, y'all going too far. Y'all doing way too much with this stuff. It's like y'all trying to will something like that. Like, it reminds me, like, when Beaumont be talking about how they be talking about Josh Allen, like the Bills fans. Like, it ain't quite
this is what I'll say. McAfee as a promo is so much better at anything that Josh Allen does, so I don't know if that's necessarily fair, but I get what you're saying.
Like, y'all doing too much, man. Just let the man breathe, like, or else, like, we're gonna have to check y'all back into reality. And I don't want to, like if people are liking this guy and understand what he does, like, I think he does, like, you know, for what they're asking him to do, he's doing a good job.
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
It's too much. It was like maybe the slander when he first got started was outsized, and I'll give y'all that. Like, maybe it was like something we just needed to watch or whatever, right? But don't come out here and be talking about this man is the best athlete to ever like transition into wrestling. No, this is this is not what we gonna do.
No, there's been too many people that have done this. No, you gotta stop this.
Yeah.
Like, and that's not even be like disrespectful to the fact to say, oh, he's a punter, blah blah blah. Like, I know Brian Mormon and what he did. Like, McAfee's not the first athletic punter in NFL that ever come out through the NFL. Like, let's not pretend, but no, he is not. He is not the best pro or former athlete to come into pro wrestling. That's ridiculous.
Y'all gotta chill on that.
Yeah, and like, you look at the stuff he does, the stuff that they're asking him to do, like, they're treating him like okay, so who was it? A few weeks ago, you asked me if they are a Make-A-Wish wrestler. Who was it?
It's a women's wrestler, Lana.
Yeah, they're treating him like he's a Make-A-Wish wrestler, except he's an incredible promo. So like, they have him the mic and he can do his thing for like 5 to 8 minutes. Like, but outside of that, like, nah, they have him doing a smoke and mirrors. He does his dives, he does his falls. He can't wrestle for shit yet, and look, nor should he be able to.
Right.
But don't come out here with this ridiculous shit. Like, he's doing fine. He's doing gangbusters for what he's being asked. But like, you want to compare him to Ronda Rousey? Are you fucking out of your mind?
Yeah. It's
like, look, you can have your opinion about Ronda Rousey or whatever else. She had bangers and she was actually really working. This is smoke and mirrors.
Yeah, man. I think that's a good place to leave. Overall, it was a good show. I wouldn't say great, but
very good show.
It's better for, like, you know, when you think about the tone and the conversation around the promotion, it's better than any, like, it's better than any right. It's better than it has any right to be based on, like, the temperature.
Yeah, and that's kind of been the case for the last 2 takeovers. Like, you look at the end of the show, you're like, yeah, that's great. Now, like, what's your long-term directions? Oh, like,
New Year's Evil.
Yeah, let's start at New Year's Evil. It's New Year's Evil, which is a play on New Year's Eve, and it's happening in the new year. So why is it Evil or Eve? You play yourself. Like, if you're going to have a New Year's Evil, because I saw that the date was January 6th. Wouldn't that mean that you could have had New Year's Evil on December 31st? Would actually have been New Year's Evil, would have made fucking sense? Keep in mind, I didn't find out about this until like a half hour ago, 45 minutes ago. Or how actually been doing the show for like an hour. So we're like an hour and 20 minutes ago.
Because you know, AEW does their first show of the year, which is like the homecoming show or whatever.
Right.
I forgot. So like, maybe the AEW show is going to be December 31st. Who knows? They haven't announced anything. So basically,
what you're saying is like this year NXT and AEW are flopping what they did last year, where NXT had the year-end show and AEW had the beginning of the year show?
Possibly.
Okay. Either way, don't call a show New Year's Evil if you're going to do it after the new year has been brought in. That's fucking stupid. That makes no sense.
So I think we're going to see a bunch of these. So especially with they've got Beach Break coming. They've got a New Year's show. So it's going to be interesting to see how all these play out. And, you know, we got all that. It was announced that Shaq's going to be on Dynamite this week with Tony Schiavone. So,
oh my God, they're still going to do this shit, huh?
Yeah, I don't know where it's going. I don't know, man. I ain't trying to see Shaq. I'm sorry. Like
the only good thing that can come out of this is the NBA season started on December 22nd, right?
Yeah.
You get the NBA on TNT inside the NBA team. You could sell getting, Cody and some of the other wrestlers on the show to promote it because the NBA has such a young demographic of fans. You can
do an angle.
You could try to put that on TV. Because you had Jericho on it before, like last season. They could put Cody and whoever else on to try to sell this thing or talk or have them on there and say, hey, you also do this wrestling show, on Wednesday. So I could see the synergy behind it. And then it gets to, all right, that means you got to have Shaq come to Jacksonville, the Daly's place, and then you have to do a wrestling on that part. I think sucks.
Yeah.
But they were trying to do with Tyson.
Put Shaq with the Bucks. Put Shaq with the Bucks in it, and you won't lose. You put him with Cody, and we don't know what we gonna get.
Speaking of that, because you always talk about the Young Bucks and getting wrestlers in the tassels, and the Young Bucks been wearing Lakers colors lately. Did you notice what Io Shirai was wearing this last night?
I did. She was out there looking like a Lakers fan. She's out there looking like a Laker. I embrace wrestlers. More wrestlers wearing purple, the better.
Oh man. Yeah. So I think it's a good place to wrap it up. There is a Stardom update, but we can save it till next week. But yeah,
great day though. Kenny Omega's the champion. The haters are sick, and of course, the hoes.
You need to get our shit taken down off YouTube.
Yeah. So,
okay.
Yeah.
So what's on tap for Dynamite this week? You mentioned Shaq. What else?
Yep. So we actually talked about it earlier in the show, but
I forgot because that was yesterday.
So the Bucks and Hybrid 2 will be running it. Okay. I believe there is the Inner Circle Ultimatum. You got Sting. You got Kenny doing a promo. You've got I don't remember the other matches. I'll have to look those up.
Okay, that sounds good enough. Do you want to know what my NXT preview is for Wednesday? Not a damn thing. So
hope.
Yeah. Yeah. Anything else? Or
no. Oh, Pat Patterson died.
Oh, yeah,
we didn't mention Pat Patterson. Controversial. Of course, there's a lot of stuff about Pat Patterson that I don't know as much about because they do a great job cleaning that stuff up. If it's out there, you can find it. But as far as his, in the wrestling business, that in his day, he was pretty much like the Shawn Michaels of his time, people say, and just one of the all the ideas, the match psychology, great ideas. Vince's right hand man for years and years and years. He's an architect of the business, and lived his life as an openly gay man. Most people knew he was gay within the industry for years and years. Legends House is I watched Legends House when it came out, and then you think about all the folks that aren't here anymore, and it's fuck, and it's just more of this shit on the way. Yeah.
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 Yeah, NXT this week did I don't know about Raw, or I think he actually passed after Raw, but I don't know about SmackDown, but NXT did a tribute to him, and it's just all these great pictures of him and The Rock and Undertaker and Big Show and Shawn and Brett and Vince and Stephanie and him and Dusty, him and Flair, him and Slaughter, him and it was pictures of him from San Francisco, him with different titles. It's just sad day for pro wrestling, but let's also remember all of his legacy and not do airbrushing because especially after this year and what we dealt with in the spring of this year, let's not sweep that under the rug.
Yeah. So it's out there if you want to go find it. So, but I ain't got nothing else. Make sure y'all check out them matches where we doing commentary, or where I'm doing commentary. Abaddon versus the Fiend taking off.
Okay. That's in the show. Be sure to rate us on whatever app you use and listen to this. Be sure to tell the folks about the Social Suplex Podcast Network. Also, check out ProWrestlingTees.com/Social Suplex and pick up some official Social Suplex Podcast Network merchandise. Also, check out the other shows on the network on it seems like Mondays half the time now. Sundays and Mondays, One Nation Radio. On Tuesdays for now, Keepin It Strong Style. On Wednesdays, the Ricky Clive Wrestling Show. On every other Wednesday, Grown Man Watch Your Shit. On Thursdays, the Grave Consequences Podcast. On Fridays, 8-Bit Suplex. On Saturdays, All Things Elite. And on Sundays, Great Match Generator. So thanks for listening, y'all. Later.
Peace.